Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel with a brand new video. Today, Naruto's ghost story at Boruto's campfire is about to get real, and seriously spooky. I'd really appreciate your help in reaching 1000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and drop a comment for more awesome content like this. Let's dive into the video. Okay, I got the marshmallows, Inogen said, holding up the bag he pulled out of his backpack. You mean the ones Cho-Cho didn't eat? Shikadai asked, resting his head in his hands. Don't look so miserable, his father told him. Let's try to have fun. Inogen opened the bag and started to wedge a marshmallow onto a roasting skewer. I question why we're doing this anyway. I mean, don't we go camping on missions? Is there a point to this? I'm wondering the same thing, Sai admitted, sitting on a log beside the fire. Camping for fun is different than camping on missions, said Boruto, bringing out a big box of chocolate. We don't have to have someone stand on guard or worry about danger with enemies and stuff like that. We can roast marshmallows, make s'mores. Can't we just do that at home? Shikadai asked, although he secretly wanted to go camping with his father and friends. It was a week ago when Boruto brought this sudden idea to everyone's attention. With the majority of his friends on break from missions and the decrease in mission requests, now seemed like the perfect opportunity to entice them with a camping invitation. Not many of them showed any interest in going, questioning why they would want to when camping was so common with away missions. Frankly, many of them were sick of it. Boruto was inspired after watching a scary movie about teenagers who went camping in the woods and were attacked by monsters. The plot was boring and predictable, but that wasn't what had Boruto's attention. It was all the fun activities the characters enjoyed before the action started. Eating junk food, telling scary stories around a fire. It looked like a lot of fun. Mostly, it seemed like a good bonding experience. He knew children often went camping with their parents and he desperately wanted to do the same. He managed to convince his friends to tell their fathers in hopes of getting Naruto to join. After badgering his friends for days, they finally agreed to ask their fathers to go on a camping trip. Just as with their sons, both Shikamaru and Sai questioned why they would want to. They even listed the same reasons. However, the more Boruto talked about it, the more alluring it became. Finally, they made arrangements. They made sure to be done with work and gather materials for their trip. They told their wives about the idea and they seemed rather enthused to have a night to themselves. The fathers all made sure to make this trip their priority, scheduling nothing for the evening and the next day to spend time with their sons. All except Boruto's father, who was once again too busy with work to come join them. Rather than complain about it, Boruto salvaged what was left of the trip to have fun with his friends. It would have been worse if he was going alone. Having friends around would make things fun. At least, that was what he thought. Looking around at his friends sitting beside their father stung more than he thought it would. Feeling singled out like this was unpleasant. Having his friends complain and question the point of this wasn't helping. We could make a fire pit in the backyard and roast marshmallows there, Shikadai said to his father. We wouldn't have to come all the way out here. All the way out here, huh? Shikamaru looked over his shoulder at the village gate he could see through the trees. It would make things easier. That wouldn't be the point of camping, though, said Inogen, understanding that being out in the woods was part of the experience. Understanding that and tolerating it were two different things, however. Marshmallows taste better when they're made over a campfire, Shikamaru commented, putting his skewer over the fire. As he said this, he glanced over at Boruto wrestling open the graham crackers from his bag, knowing how Boruto must have been feeling. Shikadai held his marshmallow over the fire with a sigh. Cho-Cho tried to eat our marshmallows earlier. Got one whole bag. We couldn't tell her what they were for without ruining the secret because Boruto wanted this to be a guys-only type of deal. So don't ruin it for him, Shikamaru whispered to his son. Don't you think he feels awkward enough being the only one here without his father? Shikadai frowned and whispered back, then why doesn't he call this off? Because he clearly wants to spend time with all of you as well. Let's try to enjoy this. Shikadai looked at his melting marshmallow which had already turned dark brown over the fire. He pulled it away from the flame before it could drip onto the ground. Sai looked at Inogen roasting his lightly toasted marshmallow and commented, I thought you didn't like marshmallows. I don't. But I like roasting them. Inogen smiled, watching his soft treat become gooey. It's fun. Sai mimicked his son, roasting his own marshmallow and found that it was very pleasant. Where are those graham crackers, Boruto? Shikadai asked. My marshmallow's trying to escape. Boruto distributed the crackers to everyone. Right here. And the chocolate? Oh. Well, we don't have too many so we'll have to take it easy. You got a whole bag right behind you, Shikadai said, pointing with a smile. Don't hold out on us. I thought we were all making stashes before we started. How would that make sense? Inogen's marshmallow started to melt off his skewer and his father rescued it with the graham cracker in his hand. Inogen smiled at him in gratitude. I need some chocolate, Boruto, he called out. Within minutes, everyone was sitting around the fire enjoying their snacks, any negativity long forgotten. Inogen tried his s'more, but no matter how a marshmallow was cooked, it was still a marshmallow and didn't care for it. So instead, he made a cracker and chocolate sandwich, enjoying that. Sai had the same, also not caring for marshmallows. Shikadai and Shikamaru debated what was the right order to stack a s'more in and tested the results over and over again. Having the chocolate on the bottom is best, Shikadai told him, chewing. It's the first thing you taste after your cracker's broken and it melts on your tongue. But it's easier to get the marshmallow off the stick if it's placed on the cracker first. The chocolate then goes on top and the heat of the marshmallow melts it all the same, said Shikamaru, holding up his half-eaten s'more. You can still do that and turn it upside down, argued Shikadai. True. I suppose it's whatever you want to taste first. You're going to taste the cracker first, said Sai. After the cracker, Shikadai and Shikamaru said at once and chuckled. Shouldn't we roast hot dogs or something? Asked Inogen. Or is this all we're having for dinner? Oh, I forgot. Boruto pulled out the pack of hot dogs from a different pocket in his backpack. You forgot or you wanted to start with dessert? Asked Shikadai, teasing. Why can't it be both? What's wrong with that? Asked Inogen. That's a good idea, said Sai. We can start backwards. Give me a hot dog, said Shikadai. I want to roast one. Me, too, said Inogen. And a bun so I have something to put it on. Boruto rummaged around with his other hand. I forgot the buns. Typical. That's alright, said Sai, standing. I can go back to the village and... No, the boys whined. Confused, Sai raised his brow and stared at them. When you go camping, you use what you bring. You can't go back and get supplies. Why not? He asked. The village is right there. We're in the wilderness. We have to treat it like it is. It's part of the experience. They're right, said Shikamaru, resting his chin on his hand while he held his marshmallow over the fire with the other. On a real mission, you wouldn't be able to turn around to get something you forgot. Let's treat it like that. Alright. Sai sat back down. Geez, all these rules. There's nothing wrong with eating them as they are, said Inogen, taking a bite out of his hot dog. It's good. Sai smiled, happy to see his son enjoying himself. Other than missions, Sai had never actually been camping for fun like this. It was new territory for him. Well, he began, facing the group. What else do you do when camping like this? Boruto grinned fiendishly. Well, we can tell scary campfire stories. Yes, Shikadai said happily. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Campfire stories? Sai questioned. Yeah, it's great, said Shikadai. You sit around a campfire like this and tell stories. Do the stories have to be camping based or will any story do? Asked Sai. Mostly scary stories, explained Shikadai. That's tradition. Huh, said Sai, intrigued. And are these stories real? That's part of the fun, said Boruto. No one knows, he said in a spooky tone. Basically, they leave it up to interpretation on whether or not the story is real, Shikamaru told him in a lazy tone. But they're mostly made up. Mostly. They even have a whole book of campfire stories to tell while camping, Inogen told his father. I saw them on sale in the store. Ah, so these must be well known and retold for entertainment. But the best ones are the ones you make up yourself, said Boruto with a huge grin. And I got a good one. You want to go first? Why? Do you have one, Inogen? Inogen bit his lip, eyes moving slowly from the ground to his hot dog turning black over the fire. Come back to me. I need time to think of one. Okay, cool. Boruto sat on the log behind him, facing the group and the campfire. Here's one that's based on a true story. No, it's not, said Shikadai with a smirk. Is so. Is not. Boruto pouted. Come on, how would you know? I haven't even started telling it yet. I know you, Shikadai told him. You'd say that to get people's attention and add to the scare factor. Oh, really? Yeah. Shikamaru intervened before the conversation could take a turn, despite the fact that both boys were smiling when they spoke. Shikamaru also had to admit to a certain level of curiosity. He wanted to know what sort of story Boruto would tell. Okay, Boruto. What's your story? He asked. Does it have a title? Asked Inogen. Yup, said Boruto, and leaned closer to the fire so his face illuminated eerily. My story is called 28 Snacks Later. And it takes place right here in the Leaf Village. Come on, why not? Boruto asked, following Shikamaru from room to room in the Hokage building. Shikamaru moved quickly down the hall to deliver various files and to get away from Boruto at the same time. He had a huge stack in his arm which threw off his balance, making him lean to one side as he walked. Because the paperwork had to be turned in 4 days ago, that's why. Shikamaru barely turned around as he said this, adjusting the files in his arm. What if we get it in today? It's still 4 days past the deadline. But they were so looking forward to this and the papers got lost. Everything's filled out if you just take a look at them. Here you go, Shikamaru said, handing a file to a passing shinobi. Boruto, that doesn't change the fact that it's 4 days late. Get it through your head. Boruto hurried after him, following him in and out of one office after another. The event still isn't until the day after tomorrow. There's time. You mean the one that required the paperwork to be filled out 4 days ago in order to participate? I get it. 4 days ago. I get it. Do you? Shikamaru handed off another file to the shinobi, sticking their head into the hall. Because you seem to be bringing up the same thing over and over again, giving me the impression that you don't get it. The event in question was the annual food festival taking place in the village, where vendors would set up tents and food stalls to sell their goods. Many of the participants were home cooks with their own catering business or traveling food cart. Others cooked their specialty at their home kitchen and sold them by the order, without any restaurant or catering business. That was the business he was trying to help out. It was a new family company that had only been cooking out of home for the past 2 years to bring in extra money. Since they had no real company or restaurant, few knew about their business or that they even existed. Boruto only knew about them because he had met the owner's 2 children. The twin boys desperately wanted their father to succeed and suggested the food festival, but the father hadn't completed the paperwork on time, which was why Boruto was at the office trying to plead his case on the family's behalf. Their food is good. I tried it. They'll make a perfect addition to the festival. The flavor isn't the issue, said Shikamaru. Yeah, the paperwork is late. I heard you. Then why do you keep bringing it up? Shikamaru asked in a sing-song tone of voice, clearly annoyed. It would mean the world to them. They really need the business. And it's not like I'm asking the day of or even the day before. I'm asking 2 days in advance. Can't you make an acceptation just this once? Because it wouldn't be far to those who turned in their papers on time. And even if it were a special kind of situation, which it isn't, we're already booked solid for the event. There's no room for their stall. That's why, here's that file you needed. We require the paperwork to be turned in a week ahead of time. So here's the report. Sign on the bottom and return it to the department, so we have time to figure out where we're going to put everyone and regulate the stalls. Boruto pushed against passing shinobi to keep up with Shikamaru. I'm sure you can fit 1 stall at the place. It's just the one. Look, Shikamaru said, spinning around to glare at him. We have close to 100 vendors coming to this event, and the only place we could put them all where they wouldn't obstruct traffic was in the park. But the park has limited space and is enclosed with a fence and stone walls. We've lined up the vendors along the footpath in the park, which stretched all the way to the other end. We have to leave space between stalls so the vendors aren't bumping into each other, help the customers distinguish between the stalls, and leave enough space for the people to move around without hitting the stands or the people in line for food. Yes, we have to allow space for the people as well, so they don't get confused as to what line is which, and allowing them enough room to move down the path to visit other stalls. We can't have a traffic jam. We've accounted for that space. The vendors have turned in the paperwork so we know who's coming and what we have space for, and we don't have space for even 1 little stall. Okay? But, in addition to the paperwork, the vendors also have to turn in a vendor's fee. That money is to reserve a space for them so no one can swoop in and take it. Everyone has their own space that's been reserved to avoid fights about who goes where, and so we know what we have room for. And we don't have room. And they can't set up in someone else's spot after they paid money to have it reserved for themselves. Now will you please? Boruto recoiled a little at Shikamaru's tone. It was clear that he was under a lot of stress, and Boruto's constant badgering wasn't helping his mood. Shikamaru turned back around and walked away, distributing files. Well? How'd it go? Asked one of the twins. Boruto gave them the bad news and felt his heart sink as their shoulders slumped. I should have guessed, said the brother on the left. We had to have a health inspector show up to approve our kitchen, but she took forever to get here. Guess she had to inspect the other stalls for the event and got around to us late. We couldn't turn in the paperwork until we got the health inspector's approval. Everything's up to code, but now it's too late. Sorry, guys, said Boruto. He really meant it. I thought I could pull some springs or something, but I guess not. Part of why Boruto was so willing to help them out wasn't just because their food was really good, it was because the twins never asked Boruto to talk to his father about the matter. He actually wondered if these boys even knew he was the Hokage's son. He supposed there were some people in the village who didn't. Not without knowing his name, at least, and Boruto had only given the twins his first. Feeling that they weren't taking advantage of him or using him in any way, Boruto was willing to go to the Hokage office to make a special request. Unfortunately, it didn't work. How's your dad taking it? Well, said the twin on the right, looking at his brother. We told him what you were trying to do for us and he was upset about it. Oh? Boruto wondered if the father was worried Boruto would think his sons were trying to use him to gain favor with the Hokage or something. Why's that? He said with only 2 days before the event, he'd never be able to make enough food to serve people. Said he wasn't prepared. But we can tell he's disappointed. We really need the publicity. And we really need the money. No one knows we exist. We don't get any customers. For the 2 years we've been in business, most of it's orders from friends who need food for catering events. And that's only happened a few times. If things don't pick up soon, we'll have to close the business. Our dad can't do anything else and no one wants to hire cooks right now. They're not in high demand. What are we going to do? We thought this event would be perfect to get our name out there, but we discovered it too late, and by the time we got all the paper stuff in order, Boruto had an idea. If it's just getting your name out there, I can help with that. How? The food festival is booked solid. Not even you could get us a spot. And even if you did, our dad said there's no time to prepare anything for a crowd that size. We would have been competing with other food places, too. Ones more famous like Thunder Burger and Ichiraka Ramen. There's no way anyone would have paid us any attention even if we landed a spot. Boruto gave them a confident grin. What's the best way to get people to try your food? Probably free samples. But with cost of supplies, we'd be losing money. Not everyone is willing to buy even with free samples. Okay, yeah, said Boruto, thinking of something else. But what's a good way to get your name out there and tempt them to buy? The twins shrugged. Going door to door, he told them. Like cookie salesman? Or chocolate? Exactly, said Boruto with a nod of his head. We just need to sell some of your product to the villagers by going right to their door. And since we're kids, they'll feel obligated to buy from us. The twins exchanged looks. That's a good idea, but not a lot of our dad's stuff is small enough to sell door to door. Or we'll travel and keep like cookies and chocolate. Boruto tried to brainstorm. Is there anything on your dad's menu that can be condensed into something on the go? Like a snack bar or something? Most of his stuff, even with modifications, would only be serviceable as street food. Although, I suppose with the right modifications, there are a couple of things we could transform into something akin to a protein bar. That's perfect, said Boruto. People are always looking for stuff like that. A compact, nutritious bar for easy eating and quick energy. Yeah, but most of the stuff on the menu is hot. Only a few things are served warm or even cold. And I'm not sure if there's something you'd want to put in a protein bar. And if we tell people that, they might not want it. I mean, right now I'm envisioning beef stew condensed into a snack bar and, I gotta tell you, it's not appetizing. Sounds messy. And gross. Guys, I got this, said Boruto. It doesn't have to be a complete dish. As long as the flavor's there, I don't think it matters what you use. Are you saying we should make a new menu item? One that can be sold door to door? One that people would want to buy for convenience? Exactly, said Boruto. I'll even stay and help you create it. You cook? I've cooked for my sister before, said Boruto. It's easy. The process? Or the dish? Boruto flinched. Technically, the only dishes he's ever cooked for Himawari were simple ones. Mainly fried eggs and rice, but occasionally he branched out to do others, albeit no more complicated. Come on, he told them. With your kitchen passing the health inspection and everything up to code, I doubt I can screw anything up. A passing health inspection has little to do with cooking skill. But you'll be around to help me, Boruto reminded them. With the three of us working together, I'm sure we can accomplish something. With one look at each other, the twins nodded in agreement and the three of them set to work. The night before the event, they had something they felt confident in selling. They made a big batch of their new product, boxed it and stacked it. Tomorrow morning, All they had to do was grab them and sell them. Getting an early start turned out to be not the best decision for the trio. Not with so many people attempting to do the same for the food festival. The vendors were pulling carts and wagons of materials to the park to set up, and the locals were already starting to line up at the entrance. The vendors hauled large boxes of cooking supplies from their carts to their stalls and began setting up. Some had already done the prep work and pre-cooked a lot of food, but there was no less for them to do, making sure everything was warm and ready for their customers. Some had portable ovens and grills to make their food fresh and cooked to order. The park smelled just like the night air at a festival. The rich, delectable smells of fried food and baked goods filled their nostrils as they walked by. From the entrance, Boruto could see the Thunder Burger stall, which was showcasing a new burger. Wanting to try the sweet and sour sliders, Boruto found his feet instinctively moving towards the stall but resisted to help his new friends. "Come on, this will be the perfect place to set up and start," he told the twins. To carry their load, the twins used an old wooden wagon from early childhood for all the snack bar boxes. One brother stood behind the wagon to make sure nothing fell, the boxes stacked as high as his head, and the other pulled the wagon's metal handle in front. "But we can't sell our stuff in the park without the papers to show that we're allowed. Even without a stall. That's why we're selling them out here," Boruto said, spreading his arms wide to gesture to the long line of customers waiting to get in. "All these people waiting in line are bound to be hungry and will want to buy some snack bars to tide them over until they can get into the festival. That does seem like a good move. You sure that's okay?" "I'm positive," Boruto said with confidence. More and more people were starting to line up along the stone wall enclosing the park. Some even had fussy children asking repeatedly if the festival was open yet. This seemed like a good place to start. "Excuse me," Boruto said, stepping up to a man carrying a child on his shoulders and another at his hip. "Would you like to buy a snack bar?" "A snack bar, huh?" The man gave the cart a suspicious look. "Did you make them yourself?" "Well, I did help with some of the work." "Sorry," he said. "I don't know if I should buy something you made yourself." Boruto frowned. "It's not like I poured cereal on toast and called it a pie. You really think kids can't cook?" "Sorry, not interested." The girl at his hip tugged on his shirt. "Is the festival open yet? I'm hungry." "It's not like Boruto made this himself," said one of the twins. "He assisted us in our dad's kitchen." The other twin peered around the tower of boxes to speak. "We were going to be in the festival, but they ran out of room. We got all the papers to prove it. A passing grade from the health inspector and everything." The man seemed more interested. "This is your family's product? Made in a real kitchen? Your family runs a food service?" Yes. But since there's no room for us in the festival this year, with it filling up so fast, the only way for us to get our product out there is to sell off our wagon. We can't go in and disrupt the festival, so we have to sell it out here. They're just snack bars. Little somethings to munch on while you wait. Or you can save it for later. Please, sir. If you don't want to, that's okay, too." The girl at his hip tugged again. "Daddy, I'm hungry." The man sighed and took out his wallet. "I'll take 2, please." "How much will that be?" They decided to sell them for cheap because they were small snack bars. A little less than the price one would pay for a candy bar in the store. They moved down the line, trying to sell to other customers. Some refused no matter the sales pitch, but there were some who took pity on the boys and bought one. They were less than halfway down the line when the gate to the park opened and the people filed inside. Boruto called out to the people going in, hoping someone would look his way and buy a bar, but no one did. The rush of people entering the park pushed against the side of their wagon, which started to tip over. The twins held up the tipping boxes with both arms as Boruto called to the crowd. Within moments, the boys were left standing outside the park with only a handful of bars sold and no one around. They waited outside the park for a little while, asking people entering the park if they wanted to buy a snack bar. Most didn't even look at them, and others gave a quick decline as they hurried inside. A child reached for their boxes, but their mother held them back, telling them there was better food in the festival and not to fill up on snacks. The twins sat on the ground with their heads in their arms, the woman's comment stinging. "She'll eat her words once she tastes the snack bars and see how good they are," Boruto assured them. "Why bother?" asked one twin. "We can't make her eat it. She's more interested in the food at the festival," said the other. "The better food's in there. You heard her. Let's face it. That's what people came here for. They're not going to want our stuff unless it's part of the festival. Selling outside the door will do nothing. And waiting around for people to finish will be a waste, too. They'll fill up on their food and be too full to buy our stuff. Boruto looked around, knowing they were right. Getting food after a big meal didn't appeal to him because he was too full to even think about food. These people were probably the same way. Okay, he said. Then we do the door-to-door thing, like we talked about. There's bound to be people who aren't interested in going to the festival. People who can't leave their businesses, you know. They're bound to want some of this to eat while they work. Plus, they can't get away. Because they're stuck at work, said a twin. That is a good idea. I'm in, said the other. They started to go around the village, asking people on the street or at their place of business if they wanted to buy any snack bars. Occasionally they were chased away, owners screaming that they couldn't sell outside products on their property. Some turned them away, telling them sternly but calmly that children weren't allowed to wander around their building and they couldn't sell things during business hours and distract the workers. Boruto looked to the side and found a promising place to try selling their product. The bell above the door to the flower shop chimed and Ino looked up from her water. Oh, what's all this? Boruto, I thought you'd be at the festival today. Would you like to buy a snack bar? Boruto asked, cutting right to the chase. You can buy them by the bar or get a box of 12. Ino looked at the wagon parked outside her shop. Is this a charity thing? I guess you could say that, Boruto said, eyes drifting to the side. Ino put her hand on her hip. Oh, and what are you raising money for? He sighed. Those twin brothers out there really need the money, so I'm helping them sell these snack bars. They were supposed to be part of the food festival, but they ran out of space for them. Did you get the paperwork in on time? It's always best to do it early. I know, Boruto growled. I've heard it from Shikamaru over and over. Do you want to help us out or not? Ino giggled, finding it amusing that Shikamaru and Boruto were equally torturing each other over the matter. Well, since it's for a worthy cause, I'll take a box. Boruto's face lit up. You will? Great. After the flower shop, they started going door to door to sell the snack bars. Many of the buyers were older women. Boruto could tell that several of the people they sold to only bought a pity bar. They went to the front gate of the village hoping to catch a few shinobi leaving on missions, telling them all about their snack bars. Every shinobi they spoke to at the gate bought one. The guards at the gate bought a whole box since they would be on duty all day with few breaks. They went to the school, hoping there would be someone there to buy, but the building was locked. Thankfully, they ran into Shino and Irika outside the building and struck up a conversation. Snack bars, huh? Irika said with a smile. Alright, I'll buy one. Shino? What do you say? As Boruto handed Irika his bar, Shino eyed the wagon scrupulously. I don't know. What exactly are they made of? All natural ingredients. Yes, but what are they made of? Shino repeated his question. Or don't you even know? Of course, we know, said Boruto. I helped them with the recipe. Then you'd know what went in them. Of course. Which is? Stuff, and things. Shino sighed. If you can't even tell me the basic ingredients, these are really good. Irika was already eating his bar. I mean it, Shino. You have to taste this. Shino still seemed unsure. I have to be careful about what I put into my body. Nonsense. I've seen you eat questionable things for lunch. My insects can break down certain poisons, but that doesn't mean. You think we're selling poison? Boruto said, outraged. No. I'm just saying. I'll take a box of these, Irika interrupted. Actually, make it two. Two? I can share these with the teachers in the office. I insist, Shino. You have to try this. Shino sighed. There's no alcohol in them, right? Of course not. Boruto looked back at the twins. Right? They shook their heads. Of course not, Boruto said more confidently. Shino's mouth formed a straight line as he reached into his wallet. One bar, please. He'll take a box, said Irika. Huh? Shino looked at him in surprise. Trust me. Once you taste this, you'll want a box of them. Shino whimpered as Irika took money from Shino's wallet to give to the boys. Thanks, Shino-sensei. Irika-sensei. Shino whimpered again. Arriving at the Hokage building, it seemed the place was just as chaotic as ever. They could hear phones ringing in different rooms and constant chatter from all directions. Some shinobi moved at their own pace while others rushed from one hall to the next. These, and then these. All to the Hokage to be signed. On it, said Shikamaru holding the stack of papers in front of his chest. He heaved a groan as he turned and left the room to go to the Hokage's office. Hey, Shikamaru. Boruto called. Shikamaru moaned. If this is about the festival, you're too late. It's already started and there is no room. Yeah, I know, and I made peace with it. And speaking of peace, Boruto held up a snack bar. How would you like a piece of this snack bar? Shikamaru lowered his arms to see over the pile of papers. No, thanks. These kids are selling them for a worthy cause. Ino's already bought a box. Don't let her get ahead of you. I'm not going to compete over who bought the most boxes of snacks. How Ino spends her money is none of my business. Shikamaru, I have these reports to file with the other department, said a woman sticking her head into the hall. I'll take care of it. Shikamaru looked from side to side. Just, put them on here. He gestured to the papers in his arms. The woman placed them on top and Shikamaru's arms visibly sank under the added weight. Come on, please. It's for a good cause. Boruto was still adamant about selling these bars. They had only made a dent in their supply and he had hoped to have a lighter wagon by now. Let me guess, said Shikamaru. The family couldn't get into the festival because of the papers being late, so you decided to help them sell their goods door to door like cookies. How did? What are you, psychic? It's pretty obvious if you think about it. Boruto held up the bar again. Well, in that case. How about it? I don't really approve. You know they passed their inspection. All their papers are in order. What's the problem? Are they breaking any rules by doing this? Well, technically no, but, then what's the problem? Shikamaru's stomach started growling. He still hadn't had lunch yet and all this running around was making him hungry. Boruto smirked and held up the bar. Sounds like you could use a snack. Shikamaru rested his chin on top of the papers in his arms. Fine. Maybe the other people in the office would like some, too? Whatever gets you out of here faster. Since Shikamaru couldn't reach his wallet, Boruto offered to do it himself. When he tried to take a little extra, Shikamaru used his shadow to stop Boruto and emphasized that he only wanted to purchase one box and would only pay for one box. Boruto put the money back, only taking what Shikamaru agreed to, and left the building. Shikamaru delivered the papers to Naruto's office and cracked his back. Are they getting heavier or am I getting older? His stomach growled again and his eyes went to the box of snack bars. Giving in to his hunger, Shikamaru took one bar from the box, unwrapped it and took a bite. This flavor. This texture. What do you know? It's good. Shikamaru took another bite. And then another, finishing it. He was surprised by how good it was. Maybe he was so hungry, anything would have tasted good. He looked at the box on the desk. Maybe another one couldn't hurt. He took another bar and started eating it. Holding it between his teeth, Shikamaru loaded his pockets with a few other bars for later. The sun was going down and the food festival was over. Boruto and the twins managed to sell half of their wagon, which wasn't bad, but Boruto had wanted to sell them all. They set up outside the park, hoping to get some to the vendors to purchase some of their product. They ran into the same man from before who wanted to buy a box, saying how his children loved their snack bars. A few other people said the same, buying boxes of their product. Some vendors were hungry after all that work and agreed to buy some snack bars. Choji and Chocho were leaving the park with their arms loaded up with takeout containers. When they spotted the wagon, they offered to purchase half a dozen boxes. The twins weren't sure they heard them right, but they insisted that was what they wanted. That's just how they are, said Boruto. They don't even have to taste it to buy a bunch of it. Sai found the wagon and asked for 2 boxes, saying that Ino sent him to find them after eating halfway through the box she had already purchased. These must be good if she's this desperate to get her hands on them, he commented. I haven't had any. She slapped my hand away when I tried. Then take a little extra, Boruto insisted, tempting him with a 3rd box. Sai paid for the 3 boxes and hurried away. It wasn't long before more people came asking for extra. Some circled back to get even more before they had even finished their previous box. By the time the sun had set, their wagon was completely empty. I can't believe it, said one twin. We sold them all. We made so much money for our dad, said the other. Thank you, Boruto. Yes, thank you. We never could have done this without your help. Boruto walked them to their door, pushing the empty wagon against the side of the building. No problem. Hope your dad's happy about the money you got. The twins looked at each other sheepishly. Well, whatever's left after. We replace all the ingredients we used up to make the snack bars. Boruto remembered the empty jars they had left on the shelves and the empty bags in the garbage. Yeah, might want to replenish those before he notices. Or before you get a big order. Those people seem to really like your stuff. Yeah, that's great. Feel free to stop by, Boruto. We'll treat you to something good. Sure thing. Boruto waved to them. See you later. Boruto walked home under the street lights by himself, though, for some reason, felt like he wasn't alone. He frequently looked over his shoulder to see if anyone was following him, but he never saw anyone. He hurried to his house and got inside, peering cautiously out the window to see if anyone was there. Boruto? Came his mother's voice. Are you alright? Yeah. Fine. Boruto closed the curtain and went inside. You missed dinner. Were you at the festival? Boruto gave the door another look before answering. Yeah. Sort of. I was with friends. That's nice. Hinata ushered him towards his room. It's getting late. And your father still isn't home. Yeah, what else is new? The next morning, Boruto got up, had breakfast and got ready to head out. From the look of things, his father never came home last night. That wasn't uncommon, as he would pull all-nighters at the office to get things done. He wasn't too concerned, but Hinata looked disappointed. I'm heading out, he told her. We're doing training today and I don't want to be late. See you later, Boruto. Bye, big brother. His sister called from the kitchen. She was helping her mother out with the dishes. It was a beautiful day and the temperature was perfect. Boruto was looking forward to his training. When he arrived, Konohamaru was waiting for him on the field. Hey, big bro Konohamaru. He turned around. Boruto, I'm glad you're here. Do you have any more of those snack bars? Boruto wasn't expecting that question. No. And that was yesterday. Are you sure? Konohamaru moved closer. You had a bunch left over on the wagon when I saw it yesterday. You sure you don't have a box left? Something in the back? Even a single bar left over? No? Was that a question? No. Konohamaru bent down to be at Boruto's level. I'm willing to pay double what I paid yesterday for one. Just make it happen. This close, Boruto could see the dark rings under Konohamaru's eyes and his pale complexion. Are you okay? Do you have them or not? His sensei grabbed Boruto violently by his shoulders. Ow. No. We sold out. You're hurting me. Konohamaru let him go, which seemed to take great effort on his part. Sorry. I'm just really hungry. Didn't you have breakfast? Konohamaru rubbed his shoulder, looking at the ground. I tried, but it didn't taste good to me. Nothing does except it doesn't compare to. He gave Boruto a crazed look and asked quickly, Are you sure you don't have any more? I told you, we sold out. Get a grip, sensei. Then you can make more, right? A lot more. Plenty to keep up with demand. Sure. But we're out of materials right now. We used them all to make the batch we sold yesterday. Then all you need are more materials. How simple. Then you can get the materials to make more. I'll even give you an advance. Konohamaru handed Boruto a wad of cash from his pocket. Will this be enough? Even for just one? Yes, I'm sure it's enough. Now run along and make more of those snack bars. Boruto dug his heels into the ground to push against his sensei's hands on his back. But what about training? Training? It's been cancelled. Cancelled? But this is more important. Now hurry up. Konohamaru shoved Boruto off the field and ordered him to get more snack bars made immediately. Seeing his sensei's behavior was chilling. Konohamaru had never acted this way before. He must have been desperate to get his hands on another snack bar. Are they really that addictive? Boruto wondered to himself. Come to think of it, he had never tasted any of the snacks they made. They used everything for the sale, figuring they could eat the leftovers. Maybe there was something wrong with the batch. If they are addictive, I'm glad I didn't eat any. On his way into the shopping district of the village, Boruto heard someone call his name. Hey, Boruto. Sai stepped out from around a building and went over to him. Do you, have any of that snack bar stuff? Boruto's eyes were drawn to Sai's hands which were vigorously scratching his arms. Sorry, we ran out. Oh, I see. Sai scratched the side of his face, looking around nervously. If Ino's that big a fan of them, then I guess she can put in an order for more. Oh, yeah. Ino. Right, she loves them. Sai seemed very distracted. You know, coming out of an alley and talking to me like this makes me feel like we're doing something illegal. Especially the way Sai was behaving. Like drugs. That kind of thing. Yeah, sounds good, Sai said distractedly. He was still looking around. You haven't seen those boys you were with yesterday, have you? The ones selling the bars. The twins? I don't know where they are, but I can find them for you. They probably have to buy more materials to make the stuff. Yeah, that's great. Sai scratched his face again. Listen. As soon as you get more, bring them to my place. Okay? I'll be there. Don't you have work or something? Good. Good. Sai looked around again. Just bring them, alright? And hurry. Boruto raised his brow, watching Sai stagger away, scratching his arms and face. Guy's going to dig himself raw at this rate. That was the second person he had seen behaving oddly. Perhaps there was something to be concerned about. Deciding it was best to address this, Boruto immediately went to the twins' house and knocked on the side door where the wagon still sat against the building. Guys, it's me. Are you home? The door opened and Boruto was pulled inside. Thank goodness, Boruto. I think we have a problem. What was in those snack bars? Did you add anything different to the batch? Huh? What? No. Guys, listen. Boruto looked around the large kitchen which had all the curtains drawn and the lights out. Nothing was being cooked and it looked like the kitchen hadn't been used since they made the snack bars. Are you guys pretending you're not home or something? We went to do the shopping and were mobbed by villagers asking for more snack bars. They don't want to eat anything else. We offered some of our family's other stuff but they only want the snack bars. They keep demanding more. Same here, said Boruto slowly. 2 people I know were begging for more. Big Bro was throwing money at me to get some but, are you sure you didn't put anything weird in them? Of course not. Boruto looked at the ground. I guess, in an effort to make them tasty, we made them too tasty. We must have blended all the spices and things together to make something addictive. Now they all crave it. Anyone who's eaten them. Heh, well, we did want to get your family's name out there, right? Not like this, yelled the twins. Well, aside from the customers craving the snack bars, is this really that bad? Boruto said this while feeling himself sweat. I mean, don't restaurant people want people to crave their food? That's business, right? Right? The twins gave him worried looks. Boruto, craving something and being addicted to it are 2 different things. It's worrisome that they won't eat anything else. Even things from our family's business. Those snack bars are all they want. All they crave. Okay, let's not panic. Boruto started to pace the floor. Okay. Okay. The way I see it, we got 2 options. We can either give them what they want, or we can refuse and wait for this whole thing to blow over. I don't think it will blow over, Boruto. Come on, he said with a grin. I've had cravings before and they've worn off eventually. Usually after I eat the thing, but even if I can't get my hands on it, it still wears off, you know. We just have to do the same here. Again, cravings and addiction are 2 different things, and this whole twins finishing each other's sentences thing is starting to wear on my nerves. Boruto looked out the window but didn't see anyone. It seemed like their best bet was to wait for the effects to wear off. Eventually the cravings would subside and the people would get over it. At least, that's what he hoped. Boruto left the twins' home a short time later, thinking that his sensei had calmed down and could get on with his day. He passed by a couple fighting over something clutched in their hands. When he looked closer, Boruto discovered that it was one of the snack bars. It was the last one and the couple each wanted it for themselves. They weren't the only ones fighting over the last bar. 2 children were bartering their own toys in exchange for the last bar, and another kid was doing tricks for a boy holding a bar over his head and laughing. It seemed people were willing to do just about anything for the snacks. Something grabbed the back of Boruto's shirt and he nearly jumped out of his skin. Konohamaru was on his hands and knees with a desperate look in his eyes. Snacks. Need snacks. Big bro, Konohamaru grabbed the front of Boruto's shirt, pulling himself up and Boruto down in one rough, fluid gesture and said through his teeth, I need snack bars. Need them. Get a hold of yourself, big bro Konohamaru. You managed fine without them before. You don't need them as much as you think. Need snacks. Munchy crunchy snacks. Konohamaru dragged Boruto down, pressing his forehead to Boruto's. I need them. Need them. Boruto broke free from his sensei and took several steps back. Big bro, you're scaring me. Konohamaru crawled towards him desperately. I need snacks. Give me snacks. Maybe it would be best to give them to him just to calm them down. No, they shouldn't. If they gave in, it would only exacerbate the problem. These people needed to quit cold turkey. Big bro, there aren't any more. And there never will be. They're gone, okay? Those snack bars don't exist. Konohamaru wasn't accepting it. Make more. I need more. There won't be any more snack bars. They're gone and none will ever be made again. More. More. I need more. Big bro, there aren't any more. They're gone and no more are ever going to be made. Get it through your head. Boruto exhaled sharply in annoyance. Sheesh. Now I know how Shikamaru must have felt. Shikamaru. He reluctantly bought a whole box of them. He probably ate one by now. Which meant, Boruto raced to the Hokage building to look for him. When he got there, the building was oddly calm. Except for the occasional phone ring and the muffled conversations in different rooms, everything was quiet. Barely anyone was in the hall, making for easy travel. Boruto went straight to the Hokage's office. Shikamaru? He called through the door. You in there? He knocked but no one answered. He tried the handle and the door opened easily. Boruto peered around the dimly lit room. The only light came from the windows behind the Hokage's desk. Shikamaru? I came to talk to you about yesterday. Boruto walked into the office, making his way slowly towards the desk. You see, it seems that those bars I sold you weren't good for consumption after all. Despite the health inspection and all that. Okay, maybe the inspection had nothing to do with it. Maybe I had added something by mistake or we just blended so much good into the thing that it became too good. And well, you see, the thing is, it seems the bars you bought may have been. Boruto stopped, seeing the box on the edge of the desk. He lifted it up, heart sinking at the lightness of it. He turned the empty box upside down and set it back on the desk. Shikamaru? He called timidly. You didn't happen to eat any of them, did you? Because if you did, we might have a problem. There was a soft thud behind the desk and Boruto gulped, frightened to look. He stood on his toes to peer over the edge of the desk to see the hem of the Hokage's jacket. Was Naruto under his desk on the floor? Was he alright? Boruto took a step closer and saw that the jacket was the only thing on the floor. He breathed a sigh of relief. He wasn't sure what to expect but he was glad it wasn't something awful. As he turned, Boruto let out a yelp, seeing his father's face towering above him. He had the same wide-eyed expression as Konohamaru and his lips were trembling. Snacks. Naruto said in a raspy voice. Need snacks. Boruto backed up into the desk, knocking over a stack of papers. Dad, don't tell me you ate them, too. Is that why you didn't come home last night? You were here eating the whole box with. A figure staggered from the corner of the room and into the light. Snacks. Shikamaru reached for Boruto with his hand. More snacks. Boruto moved away from him, knocking more items off the desk and onto the floor. Guys, snap out of it. There aren't any more. They're making you sick. Give us snacks, Boruto. We need them. Lots more snacks. Give them to us. Yelling, Boruto ran to the door and locked the two in the office. He backed into the wall, hearing the adults moaning and clawing slowly at the door. Unable to stop himself from shaking, Boruto gave in to his fear and ran from the building and back to the twins' house. He pounded on the door and dashed inside as soon as it unlocked. Guys, I think we've turned our customers into snack-craving zombies. We know, said one twin. We had to barricade the front door, said the second. We couldn't do the shopping without being swarmed. Even when we told them we were getting things to make more, they didn't seem to understand. They pressed in all around us. Followed us everywhere. Boruto heard a noise outside and looked cautiously out the window. Several shadows lumbered towards the house, moaning and murmuring eerily. The people recognized the wagon parked beside the door and knew this was where the snack bars originated. They converged on the building, rattling the knob and pounding listlessly on the walls and door, all moaning their desires to those inside. Snacks. Snacks. Want snacks. Give it to us. Snacks. The boys backed away to the center of the kitchen, looking at the silhouettes in the windows. Their voices weren't loud but the abundance of them rang like an eerie chorus. Their arms pounded the walls like tree branches in a storm. What do we do? Asked one of the twins. We should get the Hokage to help us, said the other. That won't work, Boruto confessed. The Hokage's infected, too. He ate the ones I sold to Shikamaru yesterday. Then what do we do? I'm scared. Boruto tried to think. Hearing his sensei's voice outside the home broke his concentration. It was hard to hear his sensei speak in such an unpleasant tone. He sounded sick. Boruto was tempted to open the door and let him in just to help him but knew there was nothing he could do for him. If he let any of them in, they might attack them in their current state. They were irrational and, according to the twins, didn't understand that was said to them. Shino-sensei. Boruto said, coming up with a theory. He didn't seem interested in the snack bars so there's a good chance he didn't eat any. He also said that his bugs could break down poisons. But there's no poison in the food. If the spices act like a poison, maybe it's the same. But they're not poison, the twins insisted. I know that, but maybe there's still something Shino-sensei could do. I think I know where to find him. I'll go and get help. The twins refused to stay behind, terrified of the door breaking down with no shinobi around to protect them from the mob. Boruto had to sneak the twins out a bedroom window and around the horde closing in around the house. He couldn't travel as fast as he wanted to, looking after the two boys, but they made good time in getting to the school. The building was dark except for a few lights emanating from the second and third floor windows. One of them was the teacher's office. This was a good sign that someone was in the office, possibly Shino. They hurried to the school building and up the stairs. Boruto peered inside the open door, finding only one person inside. It was Shino and he had his back to the door. "Shino-sensei, thank goodness," said Boruto stepping inside. "Listen, we need your help." Shino didn't turn around, occupied with something on the desk in front of him. "I think we came up with a recipe that's so addictive, it turns people into zombies. Not that we planned it that way, you know. I guess I'm a better chef than I thought. Not to brag, but..." Shino still didn't turn around. His hand was moving, indicated by the constant bending of his elbow. Boruto couldn't see what he was doing but assumed he was either writing something or holding something. "Anyway, we need your help. I already tried getting my dad and Shikamaru to help, but they're useless now. They ate the snacks we made and now they can't think of anything else." Shino's arm stopped moving and his head picked up, something Boruto said gaining his attention. "So, we need you to help us fix this. Maybe there's something your bugs can do to cure these snack-craving zombies, or you can." Shino turned around, crumbs clinging to his face. "Snacks." Boruto jumped back in fright. "Not you, too. I thought you weren't interested in them." Shino bumped against the desk, knocking the empty snack box to the floor. He raised his arms as if to grab Boruto. "Snacks. Snacks." Boruto stepped back. His foot came down on something that slipped out from under him, tripping him. He fell on his backside and saw empty wrappers all over the floor. He also saw a face near his and screamed in surprise. Irika was on his hands and knees, eating snack crumbs off the floor. He looked up when he saw Boruto staring at him. "Snacks," he said hoarsely, his hand reaching for Boruto. "Ah! Stay away from me." Boruto kicked frantically, trying to get away. Another hand reached for him. The plump hand of Anko was making its way around Boruto's wrist to keep him from leaving. "Snacks." She had the same look in her eyes as everyone else. Two more hands reached for him but these ones were smaller and trying to help him. The twins grabbed Boruto by his shoulders and pulled him back towards the door. "Hurry! We gotta run!" Shino, as the only teacher on his feet, walked unsteadily towards the door, both hands reaching. "Tasty snacks." Not bothering to close the door, the boys ran as fast as they could down the hall. "What do we do now?" asked one. "We can't go back to our house," said the other. "It's overrun." "My house," said Boruto. "We can hide there until the effects wear off. My mom and sister haven't eaten any." "Are you sure?" "Positive." They ran into the street where several zombies were waiting for them. The boys avoided them by taking a different street. Running down the incline to the neighborhood near his house, Boruto nearly stopped short, seeing Ino and Sai in their path. The couple turned and reached for the boys, rasping the same tune as everyone else. Inogen's parents both ate the snack bars. Makes me wonder if Inogen's alright. More desperate people had left their homes in search of the tasty treats they craved. There were less in Boruto's neighborhood, but they were leading the mob towards his house. "This way!" Boruto and the twins rushed between townhouses down the road and behind the buildings. He helped the twins over a fence and through a neighbor's yard before going over their fence and into his yard. "Mom!" he yelled before he had even reached the sliding door of their backyard. He climbed onto the veranda and pounded the door with his fist. He kept calling for her to come open the door, knowing it would be locked by this time of night. Hinata came rushing into the living room and over to the door, a look of worry on her face. He saw her undo the lock and, before she could pull the door open, Boruto threw it open himself and ran inside. The twins followed close behind and together they forced it shut and locked it again. "What on earth?" Hinata began. Boruto pulled the curtains shut to keep them hidden. "Lock all the doors and windows. Hurry!" The twins ran around the house to do just that as Hinata stood there dumbfounded. "Boruto, what is going on?" "Mom, did you or Hima eat anything that looked like this?" Boruto pulled the wrapper off his shoe from the teacher's office and held it up. His mother didn't seem to be acting like a zombie, but he couldn't be sure of his sister. Himawari wasn't a customer, but, for all he knew, a friend had offered her some they had bought. "No, I've never seen that brand before," said his mother. "Hima." Boruto called into the house. His sister came down the stairs, looking frightened. "Big brother, why are those kids locking my window? I wanted a breeze." She seemed fine. "Boruto, what is going on?" his mother demanded. "A bunch of people ate some snacks we made yesterday for the festival and it turned them into snack-craving zombies. I think we made the recipe too addictive and that's why they're acting like this." "That's ridiculous," said Hinata. "You've been watching too many movies." "No, he's not kidding," said a twin, pulling another curtain closed. "Our house was completely surrounded and they wouldn't leave us alone. We couldn't make more for them if we wanted to. They wouldn't let us do the shopping or anything. Giving them more might make it worse anyway." Boruto was in agreement. "I think our best bet is to wait this out. Wait for the effects to wear off, then it'll be safe to go outside again. Eventually their cravings have to stop, right?" There was a knock at the door and the boys flinched, moving closer together. Himawari froze on the stairs where she was, staring at the door. Hinata crept into the hall to look at the door. "Don't open it," Boruto whispered, hoping the person would go away if they thought no one was home. Hinata didn't answer the door, nor did she ask who it was. The knock came again, slowly and sinisterly. "Hi, Ta." Himawari looked less concerned. "It's Daddy." "No, it's not," said Boruto, rushing to prevent her from opening the door. "Not anymore." The knocking came again. "Hi, Ta." "Open the door." Boruto looked at his mother and shook his head. The twins shook their heads as well, clinging to her dress while using her as a shield. "Hi, let Ddy in." She started to move towards the door but Boruto held her back. "It's not really him. The snacks have made him crazy." "But," the pounding came again. "I know you're in there. Bo, are you, too?" Naruto's fist hit the door, hard. "Give me snacks." Boruto refused to acknowledge him in the slightest. "Snacks. Need snacks." Another voice joined Naruto's. "Hinata." She looked up. "Shino? Boruto has something we want," he said eerily. "Make him give it to us." Boruto looked at his mother. "They ate them all and we can't make more." "Hinata." Shino called again. "It's me. Your teammate. You know me. I would never hurt you. Come on. Let me in. For old time's sake." She refused and Shino grew more agitated. "I'm not like these guys, Hinata. I'm not. I can protect you, if you just let me in." Hinata stood where she was. "Shino, you're just sick. Wait for it to pass. You'll feel better. Then I'll let you in." "I'm feeling much better now," Shino said in the same tone of voice. "Please, let me in." "I can't." Shino threw his fists against the door. "Open this door, now." "Hi, Ta," came Naruto's voice again. It seemed to be difficult for him to speak. "You must." It pained her to refuse him. "Help me. Give me snacks." Another voice came through the door. Boruto, do you want to know what happened to Inogen? Open the door and you'll know. I'll tell you where my son is. All you have to do is let us in." Ino's voice was more desperate and angry. "Open the door or else. If we don't get snacks, Inogen will suffer. Do you want that? Just stop." Boruto bellowed through the door. "Stop this. Those stupid snacks are making you insane. Just calm down. They're not worth this." Their voices rang as one, all clamoring to get their message across. "It is. We need them. They're all that matters. We can't live without them. Give it to us. Give us snacks. Snacks. Snacks." Hinata crouched on the stairs with her daughter and the twins in her lap. Himawari had her ears covered, trying to drown out their incessant voices. Boruto stood at the bottom of the stairs with his hands over his ears, trying to do the same. He had to protect his family and friends from these lunatics. He hoped and prayed and wished that the cravings would subside and the effects would wear off soon. It took days for the effects to wear off, and until then, everyone had to listen to the voices of those zombies driven mad by a hunger they could never satisfy. Even the people inside were nearly driven insane, having to listen to the voices of their friends and family pleading for a dangerously addictive snack. "The end," Boruto said with satisfaction. A marshmallow oozed off Inogen's skewer and into the fire pit, sending up tiny sparks. Shikamaru was the first to break the ephemeral silence with a chuckle which gradually became a laugh. Sai also looked rather amused by the tale and was laughing as well, though not as much as Shikamaru. "What's so funny?" Boruto asked, taking offense. Shikamaru's laughter subsided, but he was still smiling. "Nothing. It was a very entertaining story. What he means is it's ridiculous," Shikadai told Boruto. "I liked it," said Sai. "I did, too," said Shikamaru. "I enjoyed the twist." "What twist?" Boruto asked. "How instead of fresh-eating zombies like you see in lore these days, you made them snack-craving zombies. Much more believable." "Yes," said Sai. "This story is very plausible. Compared to others." "No, it isn't," said Inogen, replacing the marshmallow at the end of his stick. "Oh? You've never craved anything so much that you couldn't focus on anything else?" Shikamaru asked him. "Have you?" He returned. "Yes, actually," said Shikamaru. "Yakisoba." The boys looked at him with their brows raised. "Yakisoba?" He nodded in affirmation. "Usually it's sold at festivals, but there were none going on and I had a craving for it all day. My lunch was disappointing and didn't taste as good as it usually did because I wanted something else. I couldn't focus on my work with my mind on my meal. It's all I wanted to eat. It went away after a couple of days." "Ha!" said Boruto, pointing at his friends. "See? It is a perfectly plausible story. Who's to say it didn't actually happen?" "Us," said Inogen. "If something like that happened in the leaf, don't you think we'd remember it? Especially if our parents were involved." Boruto already had an answer prepared. "You could have been on a mission, you know. And since the effects wore off, this could have happened and you just didn't know about it. If something like that did take place, it'd have been all over the news," said Shikadai, putting a hot dog over the fire. "And what were the twins' names?" Inogen asked. "You never said, did you?" "That's because he's not clever enough to come up with any." "They had names," Boruto insisted. "I just didn't want to tell you to protect their privacy. Or so we couldn't look them up to verify," said Shikadai. "They could have given him fake names to protect themselves," Inogen pointed out. "Even if he knew their names, they may have given him fake ones to make him look like a liar." "Don't help him," Shikadai told Inogen. "I know that story was made up. Having everything go back to normal doesn't mean it happened and we didn't know about it. For one thing, why wouldn't our parents say something? They could have wanted to save you from the trauma." Shikadai scoffed. "I still enjoyed it," said Sai with a smile. "Whether or not it was based on fact. It's hard to imagine myself as a snack-craving zombie, though. I wonder how that would look." "Try it," said Boruto. "Give us your best zombie impression." "I'm not sure how," said Sai. "Try to look crazed." "No. You could tell we weren't in our right minds in that story," said Shikamaru. "I would have used my shadow to stop Boruto from running the moment he entered the office looking for help." "And why was the Hokage's jacket on the ground?" Sai wondered. "Probably to add to the scare factor. Classic misdirection. I thought the misdirection was having you and another figure eating something on the desk. Since everything was dark in the scene and the jacket was found on the ground the next day, it led people to think perhaps they were eating people and the Hokage may have been the victim." "You read it that way?" "Snacks that make people into horror movie zombies would make even less sense. The food-craving ones were much better." "I agree. At any rate, it was very nice," said Shikamaru. "Very entertaining story, Boruto." Boruto folded his arms. "It wasn't meant to be funny. It was meant to be scary. A plausible tale that could have happened in the village while Shikadai's team was away on a mission or just ignorant." "Couldn't have been away on a mission," said Inogen. "Chocho was in your story and we wouldn't have left without her. Then you were just ignorant of what was going on. How could we have not noticed?" All right, said Sai, hoping to defuse the situation. "Does anyone have a story they want to tell?" "I still need time to think of a good one," said Inogen. He wanted his to be better than Boruto's. Shikamaru repositioned himself on the log. "I think I got one." "You?" the boys asked in surprise. "Yeah, why not? You tell a campfire story?" Shikadai didn't seem confident in his father's ability. "It's probably going to be something boring or tactical," said Boruto. "One of those murder mystery type of deals where you have to remember every single detail and lose track of the story because you're thinking too much." Shikamaru folded his arms in a very similar fashion to Boruto's earlier gesture. "I can tell a good story that doesn't require intricate detail or a tactical mind to understand." "I think Shikamaru can be very creative," said Sai. "That's been proven many times." "Really?" Judge for yourself instead of all these preconceptions?" Shikamaru asked. Curious, the boys settled down to listen to his tale. Boruto put a hot dog on his skewer and hovered it over the flame as Shikamaru cleared his throat. "Okay, here's my story. Naruto was a teenager, not yet married and struggling to make ends meet. He had the love and support of the village, of course, but he still had to prove himself worthy of becoming Hokage. Aside from all his studies, Naruto also had to complete specific missions to earn a spot in the running. What made this a particularly difficult task was the fact that he could not skip any of the trail missions he was assigned. Unless he completed them all, he would not be eligible to become Hokage. So far, he had completed each and every one of his assignments. For weeks, there were no new assignments worthy of the Hokage trial, leading Naruto to believe he had accomplished them all and had proven himself. That was until Kakashi discovered an assignment he felt would either make or break Naruto's candidacy. Feeling that no one else was worthy of such an assignment, Kakashi brought it to Naruto's immediate attention. "There's someone in trouble outside the village you must help," he explained. "This is no ordinary rescue mission, Naruto. This person has been transformed and you must find a way to change them back to normal, and there is a specific way to do that. If you fail to complete this mission, you can never become Hokage." "I understand," said Naruto, itching to prove himself. "Shikamaru will be going with you to verify. He cannot help you." "I get that," said Naruto. "So, Kakashi-sensei, who's the person I have to save?" Kakashi smirked under his mask. "Sasuke. I hate this mission, I hate this mission. Why does it have to be Sasuke? Aren't you mature enough to not be like this at the mere mention of his name?" Shikamaru asked as he walked beside Naruto on the road to their destination. "I kicked his ass. He's exiled. He still won't admit how great I am and I have to rescue him. He better be on his hands and knees kissing my feet after I save him." Shikamaru sighed and looked at the book in his hands, which contained details of their assignment, along with location, and notes describing how Naruto conquered the task. Shikamaru would have to take extensive notes describing everything in detail in addition to being an eyewitness. According to reports, he should be somewhere around here. Shikamaru looked down the dirt path, but all he saw were trees. As they walked, they came across a wood fence, marking the entrance to a village. Before long, they found buildings and something that made them stop in their tracks. "Is that what I think it is?" Naruto asked in a whisper. There was a figure standing before a couple of children, handing them a cat. The delighted children praised the young man, thanking him for finding their cat. That wasn't the odd thing, however. It was the fact that the young man had a pair of feathered wings on his back. "Thanks, mister," said the children, carrying their cat in their arms. "You are very welcome," said the winged man. "Take care." The winged man turned and stopped short, seeing Naruto and Shikamaru. Sasuke's face grew still upon seeing them. "Sasuke?" Naruto said in disbelief. Sasuke just stared at them. "Are those wings?" Sasuke tried to hide his wings as best he could, but they were almost the same size he was. He even tried using his arms to pull them down and out of sight. "You got your arm back?" Naruto sputtered. "How'd that happen?" "It must have been a result of his transformation," assumed Shikamaru. "I'm pretty sure he didn't have wings before either." Sasuke would not speak with them, apparently embarrassed by his appearance. "How did this even happen?" Naruto asked Sasuke. The Uchiha knew they weren't going to leave him alone, so he answered them. "I ran into this thing in the forest who offered me help." "What kind of thing?" Shikamaru asked, already taking notes. "It flew," he answered. "Saw me fumbling with my one arm and took pity on me, I think. It wanted to know why I was out here and I told it that I was trying to get stronger and help people. Next thing I knew, I had my arm back and I had these wings." "This thing gave them to you?" Naruto was in a state of shock. "Just because you said that? Since then, I've been—" "Excuse me, young man," came an older man's voice. "It seems the roof's been leaking at the store. Could you please assist us?" Sasuke gave the man a charming smile which transformed his entire face into something very akin to the Sasuke they knew. "Right away, sir." Shikamaru dropped his pen in shock and Naruto's mouth hung open. Sasuke gave them a quick glance and hurried away, biting his lip in embarrassment. "What was that?" Naruto gaped. Shikamaru thought he understood. "I think he's a subservient creature. One that serves humans and helps them." "A creature that serves humans in need?" Naruto asked, looking in Shikamaru's direction instead of Sasuke's. "Yeah. You know," said Shikamaru. "Like a fairy." Clutching his sides, Naruto doubled over in laughter. Having Sasuke Uchiha associated with the word fairy was just too hilarious. The mental image alone had Naruto in stitches. A fairy. Sasuke's ha 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 ha. Shikamaru wasn't as tickled by this as much as Naruto and kept his composure. Either way, you'll have to change him back. Hilarity aside, looking at Sasuke gathering wood and a toolbox from a villager and using his wings to fly onto the roof to patch the leak had Naruto questioning why they should. Sasuke bent over the hole in the roof and started hammering a new board over the one they had removed, working hard to help people he didn't even know. Do we have to? Naruto asked, approving of Sasuke's so-called predicament. He's helping people. He's actually doing nice things. Why change him back if he can do more for people like this? Because if you can't become Hokage, Shikamaru reminded him. Something cracked inside Naruto and Shikamaru watched Naruto's knees buckle. He was right. He had to change Sasuke back to normal or he couldn't become Hokage. After he patched the roof, Sasuke flew to the ground and looked around for other things to occupy his time. Hey, Sasuke, called Naruto. About that person you met in the woods. Do you think you can point them out to us? We'd like to meet them. Sorry, but I can't, he answered. I don't know where they went. Even if I wanted to find them again, and I have tried, I can't. Oh. Naruto looked dejectedly at the ground. Then, Sasuke looked to the side, seeing a woman trying to hang a basket of flowers from her awning. Sasuke went over to help her. He politely lifted the basket up and onto the hook. What do we do now? Naruto asked. Any advice? Shikamaru thought about it. Well, based on his behavior and what little I know about their nature, creatures like him are good-natured and helpful. They serve humans and aren't confrontational. So, which is so un-Sasuke-like, Naruto said with a shake of his head. Wait. Do you think he's acting like this because the transformation affected his disposition as well? Hard to say. But what I can tell you is that if you can make Sasuke act against his fairy nature, he might change back to normal. In other words, I have to make him confrontational. Shikamaru nodded. Make him lose his temper or attack you. Those are things his kind cannot do. Getting him to do so may be enough to reverse this. Perfect, said Naruto and went over to Sasuke. He tapped Sasuke on the shoulder, then punched him in the face the second he turned around. Ow! Sasuke yelled, holding his nose. What did you do that for? Makes you angry, doesn't it? Naruto stood with a big smirk on his face. Go ahead and hit me back if it will make you feel better. Sasuke rubbed his nose and said, I don't want to hit you back. Why not? Is it because the fairy in you refuses? Sasuke's lip curled. Fairy? You got the wings, don't you? Seeing the look on Sasuke's face, he added. I insulted you, didn't I? Oh, well, I'd understand if you wanted to take it out on me. Go right ahead. I'm not going to hit you over that. Come on, yelled Naruto. You've straggled me over less than that. Feel free to break my arm. Sasuke didn't move. Naruto handed Sasuke his arm. Go ahead. He physically put Sasuke's hands on his arm. There we go. Nice and easy. Now twist and break a bone. Go ahead. He still wasn't doing anything. Go ahead. Sasuke let his hands fall back to his sides without bringing harm to Naruto. Come on, Sasuke. What's the matter? I know you want to hurt me, so just do it. Why would I do that? He asked, putting a hand on his hip. Because Naruto won't pass his test unless he fixes you, Shikamaru said, standing over Naruto's shoulder. Fixes me? That's right, Naruto blurted out in desperation. This is my task, to become Hokage. If I can't get you to lose your temper and hurt me, I won't pass and will never become Hokage. A twinkle appeared in Sasuke's eye. It was subtle, but Shikamaru noticed it. You won't become Hokage? That's right. I have to make you do something outside your good nature to change you back. You have to do something mean to me or be confrontational or you'll stay like this and I won't pass my trial. Sasuke's brow raised. I see. So, let's get back to it. Naruto stomped on Sasuke's foot. Hurts, doesn't it? What do you say? Sasuke smiled at him submissively. I forgive you. Naruto's jaw dropped. Did you hear what I just said? I think that was the point, Shikamaru told him, knowing what Sasuke was up to. Naruto tried again. He stomped even harder on Sasuke's foot, grinding his heel into Sasuke's toes. Well? Isn't this painful? Doesn't it make you mad? Oh, how could I be mad at you? Sasuke said, though it was clear he was in a lot of pain by the tiny tears in the corner of his eyes. I'm sorry I left my foot in your way. How clumsy of me. Do forgive me. Naruto pulled on Sasuke's ear as hard as he could. The polite act is getting on my nerves, he screamed in his ear. Aren't you going to yell at me or punch me in the jaw? Why would I ever do something so mean? Sasuke smiled politely at him. Naruto pulled Sasuke's head down and kneed him in the jaw. Just hit me back. You know you want to. Wiping away the thin line of blood from his lips, Sasuke smiled at him. I have no desire to do anything cruel to you. You moron. Naruto kicked Sasuke in the shin. I'm trying to change you back or you'll be a fairy forever. Fighting back tears and a growl, Sasuke smiled pleasantly at Naruto. Can I really stay a fairy? I can do ever so much to help others. What is wrong with you? Shikamaru put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. I don't think he wants to change back, which is why he's acting so submissive. What? Naruto said over his shoulder. But if he stays like this, I will never become Hokage. Exactly, Shikamaru spelled it out for him. The two of you are still rivals. Not only that, but didn't he tell you that he was going to become Hokage one day? If there's the slightest chance he can prevent you from becoming Hokage, he'll do it, even if he won't be able to either. Are you kidding me? Can't you tell by the way he's behaving? Shikamaru pointed at the smiling Sasuke with a glimmer of malice in his eye. He doesn't want you to pass. Naruto snarled, glaring at Sasuke. This guy is a sore loser. He punched his fist into his hand. You wanna make this a challenge? Fine. From that moment on, Naruto relentlessly pummeled Sasuke with everything he had. Kicking him, pulling his hair, using the Rasengan to launch Sasuke as far as he could, slamming him into walls, stepping on his feet, shoving him into a pile of broken glass and off ledges, spiking his food with a diuretic, gluing his hands together and following him around just to shout hurtful things in his ear, but nothing worked. No matter what he did, Sasuke brushed it off with a smile. Shikamaru watched from an outdoor cafe, sipping tea while Naruto pulled Sasuke's pants down in the middle of the street in front of two girls. He went so far as to light a firecracker and stick it in his pants as Sasuke pulled them back up. He screamed and jumped around while his pants crackled and popped, hurriedly trying to pull them back down. Even with his pants smoking and in tatters, Sasuke told Naruto that he bore no grudge. I don't think it's working, Shikamaru said as he lifted the teacup to his lips. I'm open to suggestions, Naruto snarled at him angrily. I'm not allowed to help, Shikamaru said, setting his teacup back down. Truthfully, he was enjoying this. Naruto pulled on Sasuke's wings with all his might. Come on, Sasuke. Get mad. Get angry. Do something horrible. The next firecracker's going up your ass if you don't. Eye twitching, Sasuke gave Naruto a forced smile, also at wit's end. Why would I ever be mad at you? Changing tactics, Naruto handed Sasuke a gift-wrapped box. I'm sorry I tried to make you change. Please accept this gift as a token of apology. Sasuke could hear something sizzling inside the box and pushed it into Naruto's chest. I don't deserve it. It looks like you spent good money on it, so you should keep it. Sasuke flapped his wings to put space between himself and Naruto as the box exploded in Naruto's hands. Covered in soot and singed clothes, Naruto gritted his teeth. Oh, my. You're all dirty, Sasuke said, returning with a towel. Let me help you clean up. Naruto took the towel from Sasuke and poured hot sauce in it and pressed it into Sasuke's face. You're looking a little pale. Mind if I add some color to your cheeks? Sasuke pulled the towel from his face which had turned bright red from the hot sauce. Lips swollen and eyes puffy and watering, Sasuke said, Thank you, Naruto. You are too kind. Oh, wow. You look so red. Let me cool you off. Naruto grabbed Shikamaru's hot tea and threw it in Sasuke's face. Better? Through a twitching eyes and scalding skin, Sasuke managed to wring out the words, much better. Thank you. Naruto wasn't about to let up. This wasn't about becoming Hokage anymore. It was about winning. Why don't I treat you to lunch? Here's the menu. Naruto grabbed the heavy, leather-bound menu off a table and cracked Sasuke over the head with it. Oops. My bad. Think nothing of it, Sasuke said through his teeth, smiling. Here. Have something sweet to eat. Naruto picked up a pie and threw it in Sasuke's face. Fairies like sweet things, don't they? You are so considerate, Naruto. Thank you. Sasuke wiped the cream and crust from his eyes. Now you're the one who's all dirty. Let me clean you up. Naruto grabbed the mop bucket and doused Sasuke with it. He took the mop and scrubbed Sasuke's face with it, making sure to get the long, braided cords into his mouth with each thrust. Spitting out a piece of chewed gum and the wrapper from a straw, Sasuke pushed his hair back and said, Thank you, Naruto. What the hell does it take to get you mad? Naruto was pulling out his hair over this. No matter what he did, Sasuke restrained himself. Sasuke flew off to help some villagers who were calling for him. Naruto looked at Shikamaru, who hadn't stopped watching in all this time. Well, what? You may not be able to help me, which I'm sure you take great pleasure in. I won't lie. It's pretty great. It was part of the reason he was enjoying himself so much. But you can give me advice, Naruto went on. What kind of advice can you give me? Shikamaru crossed his legs as he leaned back in his seat. I have to be careful about that. There's some advice I can't give you because it would be helping you too much. What I can do is offer support and advise you in a way that won't give you the answer but help you get there. Then do that. Naruto shouted. I am this close to ripping off his wings and saying he's cured. Shikamaru gave the most subtle of smiles and said, if you keep at this, eventually he will return to normal. Then he will break, just like I've been trying. After all this, he must be getting close. Shikamaru scratched the side of his neck. That's not what I meant, but okay. Sasuke would eventually return to normal if things continued as they were, but not necessarily in the way Naruto expected. Not that he was going to tell him that. Things escalated after that. In addition to causing Sasuke physical pain, he also started sabotaging his work. When he finished fixing a roof, Naruto tore it up again. When he finished repairing a fence, Naruto tore it down. He took a bat to the potted plant Sasuke just finished setting up on a porch. After gathering a bunch of sheep back into their pen, Naruto let them out again and chased them so they'd scatter. Shikamaru rested his chin on his hand as he watched the angry villagers chase Naruto through the street with weapons in hands while Sasuke worked to repair the damage. I could have told you that would happen, he told Naruto when he came back battered and bruised. Naruto spat out a tooth and tucked it into his pocket. I was trying to make more work for Sasuke, not get the villagers mad at me. Well, what did you think was going to happen after you damaged their property? Flapping wings stirred up a breeze as Sasuke flew over to land beside them with a satisfied smirk. And how are you doing today, good sirs? There was a conniving undertone behind those words that made both boys uncomfortable. Don't think you've won, Naruto told him. Sasuke merely smiled in answer, which had Naruto on his feet and shaking him. I knew it. What did I just say? I saw that smirk on your stupid face. Don't get all high and mighty on me, you winged pansy. Sasuke tolerated the shaking and even laughed a little. I said stop it. My apologies, dear friend. I believe am I just a bit confused. It looked like Sasuke was holding back laughter, enjoying this. I can't tell if he's talking like that because of his condition or because he's trying to mess with us. Shikamaru rested his chin on his hand again. It really was hard to tell at this point. I am going to break you one way or another, Naruto said, pulling Sasuke to his face. It was more of the same. Naruto tortured Sasuke and Sasuke dismissed everything. Naruto used exploding tags on Sasuke's wings to knock him out of the air and tied his ankles to a fence so he couldn't get away. He didn't even try, knowing he would end up damaging the fence if he did. He merely stood there until the rope burned away from the barrage of attacks Naruto threw at him. Have some pie. Naruto threw another pie in his face. It's loaded with firecrackers. Thank you, Naruto. Accept this token of appreciation. Naruto stuck a smoke bomb in Sasuke's mouth and let it explode. Thank you, Naruto. Catch this. Naruto hurled a cinder block at Sasuke, who caught it in his chest and nearly fell over. And this one, too. Naruto threw another one and Sasuke caught them all, one after another. He organized them into a pyramid and said, thank you for the workout, Naruto. You are too kind. Fuming, Naruto tried harder. He lit Sasuke's pants on fire, replaced his water with oil and watched him roll around in the dirt until it went out. He took wood from the fence and beat Sasuke with it. He jumped on Sasuke's back and ordered him to fly, which ended up causing both of them injury. Mouse traps on his toes, itching powder in his clothes, using his face to open walnuts and watermelons, and using him for target practice when everything else failed and he ran out of ideas. 2 straight days on constant assault and neither side broke. Both could barely stand and still wouldn't back down. Naruto repeated the same tricks hoping something would be the breaking point. Shikamaru tried to enjoy a sandwich, but Naruto took it from his hand to rub in Sasuke's face. Sighing, Shikamaru went hungry and waited for one of them to give up. Neither of them would do that. They were equally matched when it came to stubbornness. Panting and in tatters, they both continued with the same old routine. I brought you some cupcakes. The frosting's hot sauce. How thoughtful. Thank you. Have something to eat. This lemon should do. Thank you. It's so good. Wash it down with this. It's water from the toilet. You are so considerate. Let me help you drink it. I'll savor it later. I insist. Don't trouble yourself, Naruto. Allow me. No, allow me. You need to preen your feathers. Don't you? Allow me to help you. Ow, appreciate the gesture. Ow. You are getting fistfuls of my feathers, aren't you? Well, I forgive, you. For the love of all that is holy, break. Naruto picked up a sign indicating the restaurant specials and clubbed Sasuke over the head with it repeatedly. He beat him with it until the sign broke in two and discarded it. He was out of ideas. He repeated himself hoping Sasuke would lose his temper by now, but nothing worked. The repetition wasn't enough. His cruelty wasn't enough. The pain he caused Sasuke wasn't enough. What else could he do? Falling to his knees, Naruto played the only card he had left. It wasn't because he thought it would work. He was at the end of his rope and couldn't do anything else. Hopelessness and desperation reduced him to this, his lowest point. Please. Please, I'm begging you. Sasuke stood over Naruto, unsure if this was a trick or if he had actually broken Naruto. Please, just change back. Please help me help you change back. Naruto bowed his head to Sasuke, unable to hold himself up anymore. I'm begging you, Sasuke. Please. A smile spread across Sasuke's face and he started to laugh. I like being a fairy. I like helping people. I like having wings and both my arms. I don't want to change back. I refuse. If you're waiting for me to lose my temper and hurt you, then you can forget about it. I won't lash out at you. I can take anything you throw at me. I will not go against my nature and change back. I will stay like this forever. Shikamaru looked up from what he was doing to watch Sasuke carefully. In an instant, the wings disappeared from Sasuke's back in a burst of feathers and his arm along with them. Sasuke stood there in utter shock. Naruto was dumbfounded as well. Huh? He changed back, Shikamaru affirmed, getting up. But how? He didn't hurt me or insult me or do anything mean to me. He didn't have to. As long as he operated outside his nature, Shikamaru told him. Naruto looked at Shikamaru, not understanding. But I thought you said that fairies weren't cruel and spent their time helping others. Exactly, Shikamaru informed him. By refusing to change back in order to help you, Sasuke operated outside his nature and changed back. Slowly, it started to make sense. Refusing to help me went against his nature. But wait. If he helped me, he would have done something against his nature, too, right? Shikamaru nodded, smiling. I knew it wouldn't make a difference. I told you that eventually, if you kept this up, he would change back. Either by losing his temper and hurting you or by refusing to help you. No matter what, Sasuke was going to change back. It was just a question of time. Naruto's head was reeling from the ordeal and the information Shikamaru just gave him. He repeated it to himself over and over, hoping to grasp what happened, hoping to understand. Losing his temper went against his nature, so he'd change back. Refusing to help me went against his nature, so he'd change back. If he helped me, he would have had to hurt me, which went against his nature. By not operating outside his nature, he would have changed back because by not hurting me, he wasn't going to help me. So, if he did his nature thing by being kind, he would have not helped me? Naruto looked at Shikamaru. It sounds to me like it was a no-win situation. Exactly, said Shikamaru, tired of waiting for Naruto to understand. You gave him a task he could not complete because it was contradictory. He couldn't help you unless he went against his nature, but refusing to help you also went against his nature. He was going to change back either way. Which? Naruto started beaming. Which mean I won. I completed my task. Alright. I'm one step closer to becoming Hokage. Yes, you are. Sasuke picked up the broken sign off the ground. If you can live that long. Shikamaru filled out his report while Sasuke chased Naruto around the village, screaming and unleashing all the pent-up fury he had for the blonde shinobi. The end, Shikamaru finished his story and looked around at all the faces staring up at him. What's with the looks? The boys had blank expressions on their faces, making it impossible to discern whether they liked his tale or not. That was weird. Shikamaru raised his eyebrow. Weird good or weird bad? Just weird. It's just that. We didn't expect you to tell a story like that, said Boruto. That's all. Yeah, we kinda expected one from you to be more distinguished? No, that's not the word. Complexed? Yeah, and, not so goofy, Boruto said bluntly. Yeah, it was silly and not what we expected you to tell, said Inogen. Shikamaru wasn't offended. It comes as a surprise that someone so smart can be so silly, is that it? I understand. People think you're too smart to have a silly side or a sense of humor, but that's not true. Smart people are often silly because it's fun. It's troublesome taking things seriously all the time. You need some levity. Sai smiled. I thought it was fun, but not very scary, said Inogen. Campfire stories tend to be scary. Is that a rule? Sai asked. No, just expected. Boruto looked at Shikamaru. What do you have against Sasuke anyway? Shikamaru said, if you knew him back then, you'd understand. That story wasn't real anyway, said Shikadai. How do you know? He asked his son. You weren't there. And you were? You just inserted yourself into the story to have a reason for how you knew what went on. I had to take notes on the mission. It could very well have happened. It does seem plausible, said Sai. And there's no way to prove it didn't take place. Unless we go find Sasuke and ask him, said Boruto. He'd deny the whole thing, said Shikamaru. It makes him look stupid. I'm still calling it nonsense, said Shikadai. I don't think it actually happened. Plus, it wasn't scary. Just silly. What wrong with that? Asked Shikamaru. Where's the rule that says a campfire story can't be silly? Or funny? It's... Shikadai fumbled for an answer. It's just, not tradition. You're out in the woods at night, explained Boruto. It's customary to tell scary stories to get people's blood pumping. You're trying to scare them. It's part of the experience. It enhances the mood? Sai looked at Shikamaru to see if he was assuming correctly. Shikamaru just shrugged and stuck a hot dog over the fire. Now that he wasn't telling a story, he was free to eat. Scary stories are a must when camping, said Inogen. That story was fun, but not really campfire-worthy. Would you like to go next, Inogen? Sai asked his son. Inogen flinched. I still need to think of a good one. I have an idea in mind, but I don't really have all the details or anything. And I'm sure I can do better than what I have. Then who's next? Why don't you tell one, Sai? Me? Sai looked caught off guard. I've never really made up a story before. I'm not sure I'd know how. Or have it be any good. Who cares if it's the greatest one in the world? We're just having fun, Shikamaru told him. Besides, with all the books you've read, I'd think you'd know how to do a story. Reading them is different from telling them. Plus, the books I read aren't as whimsical as this. More like information than actual plot. You're still a creative guy, Shikamaru told him. Give it a whirl. Sai pondered this a moment. Storytelling was another form of art, which he was already pretty good at, so perhaps he could have a talent for this. Maybe he should give it a try. He didn't care if he was any good at this, but he didn't want to disappoint his son, so he felt unsure. Well, I guess I could give it a shot. Sai rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. It'll give Inogen some time to work on his own story. Inogen fidgeted a little, leaning his back against the log Sai sat on. Take your time. It'll be a while. A thick heaviness pressed around Boruto. He slowly gained feeling in his limbs, but a dull soreness made him want to go back to sleep to escape the throbbing ache. His body felt heavy and sore, like he had worked himself to exhaustion and hadn't gotten enough rest. A warmth enveloped him and he rubbed his face against the smooth material. This blanket felt different from his bedsheets. It weighed heavily on his shoulders, though it wasn't that thick. Boruto didn't want to open his eyes, but curiosity kept poking him until he gave in. He saw walls packed with shelves overflowing with books and scrolls. There was a stack of books beside his head and a jar of pens fanning out like a stiff potted plant. His head was resting on a desk covered in papers he didn't recognize. Where am I? He wondered, lifting his head off the desk to take a better look around. He saw photos of past Hokages on the wall mounted above more bookshelves and a couch being used as a makeshift desk along a different wall. I'm in the Hokage's office? Why? How did he get here? He couldn't remember. He was certain he went to sleep in his own bed last night. He remembered it clearly because his mother came in to wish him good night and scolded him for playing video games when he should have been sleeping. Yes, he remembered that. He didn't remember leaving his room after she tucked him in and kissed him goodnight. He remembered being in bed with the lights off, snug under the blankets. The streetlights cast familiar shadows on his wall as he faced his small desk across from his bed, which he had covered in ninja tools and a magazine featuring the latest games targeted towards children his age. He had the magazine open to the page advertising the new game that wouldn't be released until the holidays. If he pre-ordered it, he would get special promotional items, which he planned to ask his mother for in the morning. He had a presentation prepared and everything. That was the last thing he had seen before closing his eyes to sleep. Nothing out of the ordinary occurred. He had a normal day within the village. He had returned from a mission days ago and had been given the next 2 days off to recover. There were no visitors in the village he knew about, and even if there were, he hadn't spoken to any of them. He stayed at home playing games and went to see friends after he grew bored. Everything was perfectly normal. Did he sleepwalk here to ask his father about the new game he wanted? He never did that before. If so, where was he? His father should have been here, but he was alone. Ow! My body's so stiff, he complained. Did I sleep here last night? He looked at his hands, which looked different. They were bigger than he remembered, and one hand was covered in bandages. This felt weird, but they looked familiar. As did the sleeve his hands were poking out of. A white garment he had seen before was covering his arms and shoulders but left his chest exposed. This was the Hokage's jacket. Why am I wearing? Looking at his body, he realized more inconsistencies. These arms, this torso, these legs weren't his. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. Don't tell me. Boruto opened one drawer after another, trying to find a mirror. When he couldn't find one, he used the screen of the laptop half covered by papers on the desk. The black screen was just reflective enough to show him his father's face. He gasped and put his hands to his cheeks, and Naruto's face mimicked his actions perfectly on the screen. He made faces and the image copied him. "You've got to be kidding," he said in his father's voice. He was in his father's body. Or was he? He could have just been transformed. Yes, of course. That must have been it. He transformed into his father. All he had to do was change back. When he tried, it didn't work. Thinking he was stuck until he felt pain, Boruto stabbed his father's leg with a pen, causing himself great pain but remaining unchanged. This wasn't a dream because he felt the pain. He wasn't under genjutsu and he wasn't transformed. This meant he really was in Naruto's body. How did it happen? Why was this happening? Before Boruto could succumb to panic, the door opened and he faced that direction. Shikamaru came in, yawning. Morning, 7th. Get any sleep last night? Shikamaru. Slept here last night, huh? It was a late night for me, too. Had to assist a couple guys before going home after I said goodnight to you. After that I couldn't sleep much. Just one of those nights, I guess. Shikamaru, it's me. Yeah, I know. Shikamaru moved some books aside so he could sit down on the couch. He lifted up one book, getting distracted. I thought we put this back. Did the other one get replaced, or did that order not come in yet? Shikamaru, it's me. Boruto. I'm not Naruto. Shikamaru looked at him with a raised brow. You still asleep or something? No, I'm really Boruto. I woke up in Dad's body for some reason. You gotta help me. Shikamaru sat on the couch with the book in his lap. Joke all you like. It's not going to get you out of this. We've got a full day ahead of us. No, I'm being serious. Good news is that the meeting this morning got cancelled. The meeting set for this afternoon has been moved to after lunch, which means we're working through lunch. Goody. Shikamaru, I'm serious. Boruto tried desperately to get him to listen. I really am Boruto, stuck in my dad's body. The concert arrangement has been moved up as well, Shikamaru continued as if he hadn't heard him. The 4 members will be here at 10:30 and I've already arranged for them to meet you here. They have to have approval of the concert location and make sure everything's in order. Concert? Boruto was now interested in something else. What concert? The one that's planned for the end of the month. We gotta get everything ready this week so tickets can be sold and get the hall ready. If that's where we're throwing this thing. Who's playing? What's the band called? Shikamaru yanked a clipboard out from between 2 books on the couch and flipped to the 3rd page. I never heard of them. Quadcicles. Quadcicles? Boruto was excited. It was a relatively new band that was all the rage among his peers. The band consisted of 4 members and all their song featured some type of ninja weapon as inspiration. Even their band name was inspired by a weapon. Does this mean I'll get to meet them? Kinda have to if you got a meeting with them at 10:30 today. Their manager will also be there along with some other people to promote the concert. His father did get to meet all kinds of people, including famous ones. Perhaps being stuck in Naruto's body wouldn't be so bad. Meeting the band would be the highlight of his day and would make all his friends jealous. Boruto decided to keep his mouth shut about his predicament for now and enjoy himself. If only this stiffness would go away along with the lower back pain. Boruto shoved all his paperwork aside when 10:30 rolled around to give the band his undivided attention. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way he thought it would. Instead of having one-on-one time with the band, mingling and talking about their work, the office was packed with people he did not know and barely had time to say hello to the band. Boruto glanced at Shikamaru when a man started speaking to him. The band's manager, Shikamaru, told him. Nice to meet you. I'll be blunt, said the plump man in the suit. We don't normally do concerts at shinobi villages. For one thing, it's remote and not a lot of people are allowed in from other places, but given your population, I think a concert here would be profitable. I just want to know if people will show up. I'm not letting my band play for a meager crowd of only 100 when I could have a concert hall sold out and packed to the brim with thousands. Are you sure having a concert here will be profitable? Are you kidding? Boruto said, smiling from ear to ear. Your band's what's hot now. There's a ton of shinobi here who will pay through the nose to get tickets to see them perform here. Your band's amazing and all my son's friends would attend a local show. Having it other places is too hard for us to come see, but here? Have it here and you'll see just how popular they are, you know. The manager looked pleased. You talk a good talk, Hokage. And it seems to me that you like too. You bet I'm a fan. That's good. We can use that, said the manager. If the band's popular with the Hokage, tons of people would want in. You like it, they like it. We'll make millions. I'll tell you what. Start promoting the concert and if tickets start selling, we'll do the gig. If only a few go, then we're pulling out. Oh, tickets will fly. Believe me. The manager knocked on the edge of the Hokage's desk. I'll hold you to that. You know what they say about size mattering. It's not just true for dates. Shikamaru ran his hand down his face looking uncomfortable. Before you go, can I just have you guys sign a couple of things? Boruto tried to shove some papers towards the band but their manager got in the way. There'll be plenty of time for that, he said. We gotta make sure everything's in order first. Like where they're playing. Aesthetics are everything. Boruto was a little confused by what that meant. You mean like ambience or something? Of course. There's a difference between a prize pig and a hog, right? Boruto had no idea what the man was talking about. You're either going out with the beauty queen or her homely friend with a great personality, which leaves a lot to be desired in and of itself, if you know what I mean. I don't. Shikamaru looked even more uncomfortable, holding his hand over his mouth as if to keep himself from dry heaving. We gotta have lights. We gotta have looks. We gotta have it. The manager used his arms to gesture, making Boruto jump back to keep from being smacked a few times. You got it, right? The stage alone has to be a spectacle. Not to mention the lights and effects. For their big number, I want to set off fireworks. Cannons. You got a concert hall with an open roof, don't ya? We could have the concert outside in the park or by the outside? Like some cheap picnic or festival? Please. The building sets up for things to come. If the hall looks cheap, it'll take away from the whole experience. The last place they performed at had 3 tiers, wall-to-wall carpet and each step had those tiny lights, illuminating each step. He put an arm around Boruto's shoulders. You got lights, right? Yeah, we got lights. Boruto still wasn't sure what the man was talking about, but if he wanted the building to have power, then he would make sure they had a place to perform. Most buildings had power anyway. Perfect. Now what I'm thinking for souvenirs and product placing. That would be up to us, sir, said a woman in a suit standing in front of a group holding white posters and an easel. I'll leave it to you, then. The manager waved the band out the door before Boruto could say anything. The woman wasted no time in getting right to work. The easel was set up and the posters were set on the lip in a specific order. Since the band's known for its ninja tool-inspired songs and gimmicks, we figured the promotional trinkets should reflect the same. What you have here is the first design of a product in the works. It's a plushie holding a kunai. All our plushies will feature some kind of ninja tool. The specific animal remains to be determined. We were thinking of a crocodile, given its sharp teeth and tough skin. We could go another way. She removed the top poster to show the one underneath depicting a lion holding a set of nunchucks. On another easel used for comparison, there was a poster of a rabbit holding a kunai. Bears are so overused, so we present these alternatives. Rabbits are cuddly and popular with children, especially girls. And they would also go with the village theme. What village theme? Boruto asked. Leaves. The woman pointed to the symbol of the village mounted on the wall. Rabbits eat leaves. Shikamaru smacked himself in the forehead. For fierceness and tenacity, we have a lion. Cuddly and gender neutral, We feel this animal will fit well, especially among shinobi. So, Boruto looked at the two pictures. These are mascots or something? No. These are promotional items for the concert. The woman started going through posters at a rapid pace. We also have hippos, dogs, lizards, hawks, giraffes, elephants, and the latest option, Mr. Leaf. Boruto felt something crack when he saw the drawing of a leaf with arms and legs holding a kunai and wearing sunglasses. Mr. Leaf? Boruto repeated in disbelief. To go with the Leaf Village theme. Oi, Shikamaru moaned, almost dropping the pen in his hand. I don't think we'll be going with Mr. Leaf, Boruto told her. All these animals and you missed the obvious? Shikamaru muttered. The woman looked at him. What animal would that be? Shikamaru looked at her with his head cocked. A fox? She looked confused. Why would we use a fox to represent the Leaf Village? Or having it wield a weapon of all things? Shikamaru buried his face in his hands and groaned. We can worry about that stuff later, Boruto said, fed up with all this. None of these plushies were interesting to him and he wanted to help advertise the concert. If they didn't sell tickets, the band wouldn't play. Little did he know that choosing would take 45 minutes of his time while they gave him options and variations of those options. He thought they would give him 2 to choose from and that would be the end of it. What should have taken 2 seconds became a half hour of debate over where the posters should be placed in the village, how many should be printed, the size, the font, and even the display of information. Should the date of the concert go on the top or the bottom of the poster? Where should the band's name be featured, on the top or across the middle? What picture should be used for the poster? Boruto held his head up with his hands as he sat at the Hokage's desk, finding what should have been a fun experience to be endless torture. Just how long was this going to drag on? We have these 2 options for the poster which were selected from the band's latest photo shoot. The woman pointed to 2 different easels with 2 different photos of the band. Here we have them standing in AV formation which adds a nice depth to the poster. If we go with this one, our options for the advertisement are as follows. Ugh! Boruto couldn't hold back his cry of disdain anymore. The woman looked back at him, annoyed. Am I boring you? Boruto tried to recover, wanting the band to play at the village. No. It's just that I have another meeting in a few minutes and don't want to be late. The woman pointed to the second photo option. This one features the band in a block formation. 2 standing and 2 bent down in front of them. Using this option, we have ample space to put the information at the top and bottom with empty space here on the side. However, we can get rid of the empty space by putting the concert date here and something on the other side so it's balanced. Ma'am, there is no information we can fill that space with, said a spectacled woman behind the easel. All the information is either at the top or bottom. We can repeat the date to make sure it's seen, said a man. I don't want repetition in my poster, said the woman in the suit. What if we just put the date here and the location here? No, that won't work. I know. Date here and... No, never mind. We could put the day here and the month here. Breaking it up like that would be too confusing and hard to read. Date here and time here. That could work. What if they do multiple shows? Ready to pull his hair out, Boruto pointed at the other poster that was more finished and didn't cause this much debate. That one. I picked that one for the promo poster. There. We're done. The woman looked at the other poster. The V formation has your approval, Lord Hokage? Yes, it does. Can we please move on? As far as the design goes. Ugh. Band name here. Date here and ticket information here. Is that alright with you, Lord Hokage? Yes. Boruto declared loudly. It's perfect. It meets my approval. Now get out. In that case, can we please have your signature so that we can begin producing them for the... Boruto signed his father's name on the sheet of paper and pushed everyone out the door. God, I had no idea that would be so tedious. Shikamaru had been discreetly doing crossword puzzles during their design pitch and had nearly completed the whole thing. Seriously? You were doing puzzles that whole time? When it turned into an hour, yes. I can do 2 things at once. Besides, that was mostly for you. I don't get a say. All I can do is advise. Boruto's whole body ached but he hadn't done much of anything. It's lunch time. I'm going to Thunder Burger. You can't, Shikamaru told him. You have to do the prep work for the meeting coming up in half an hour. There's no time to go out for lunch. When do I eat? Shikamaru tossed a cup of ramen into his arms. I'll boil the water. Boruto banged his head against the small cup. Since it was something he didn't understand and didn't have any interest in, Boruto tuned out most of the pre-work Shikamaru walked him through. Shikamaru had organized key notes into a notebook which he expected the Hokage to follow and refer to during the meeting. Boruto barely glanced at it. Seeing the massive pile of paperwork on the desk, Boruto started signing his father's name to the documents to lighten his load for later. He didn't understand why it took his father so long to complete something that just required a signature. Shikamaru walked beside Boruto on their way to the meeting room. There was no way to get out of this. "What's this meeting about anyway?" Boruto asked, figuring he may as well know now that they were on their way. "Taxes," Shikamaru said simply. "That's the short of it." "Taxes for what?" "We're trying to decide whether or not to increase them in the village." "That's obvious," said Boruto. "Nobody likes having their taxes go up, so don't raise them." "Can't believe you need a meeting for that. Those taxes help pay for the village. Without them, we can't maintain the village." "What do you mean you can't maintain?" Shikamaru held the door open for Boruto, shoving him inside. "I'll be right behind you. Just deal with it, okay?" Boruto staggered into a room with a large oval table in the middle. For its size, Boruto expected more people to be present, but there were only a handful of people he didn't know sitting spread out around the table, which made it look even bigger. Some sat there with their arms crossed, looking annoyed, while others had notebooks and binders open on the table, giving him expectant looks. "Is this everyone?" Boruto asked, looking around. "We've been waiting for you, Lord Seventh." That didn't answer his question, but he didn't really care. He took a seat, and as soon as he did, the meeting began. The woman at his right spoke quickly and sounded like she knew what she was talking about. Too bad Boruto didn't. He only managed to pick up a few things here and there. Before he could say anything, another person spoke up on his left, his voice firm and loud. Another one sounded concerned and a fourth sounded impatient. Boruto felt like he was being compressed into a tiny ball by the force of their words and relentless staring. "We don't have to raise taxes," Boruto said desperately. All but one person at the table looked outraged. The one person looked confused, however, as if they didn't understand what he was saying. "How could we not?" asked an angry woman. "Just look at the cost of this alone. And then there's these. It would be impossible to maintain the upkeep for these things without a tax increase. We don't have the funds to pay for them ourselves," said an angry man. "People don't want their taxes to go up, you know," said Boruto. "So, let's not do that." "Tough," said the same man. "I don't want mine to go up either, but this is something we have to do. Repairs for the damaged playground from that shinobi battle have been postponed due to lack of funds. The children of the village have no place to play and the parents have been asking about when it will be fixed," said a woman. "Not to mention the repairs to the wall that protects our village. The upkeep on that alone. What about the Hokage building itself? It stood here for years and it needs some patchwork. Plus, the materials needed for your research stuff, which I know nothing about. The school also needs materials for the students and teachers. It's not just repairs. They need materials for their lessons. It's the children's education. If we skimp on that..." Boruto waved his hands in the air. Whoa, hang on a second. Materials? Repairs? You guys don't need to increase taxes for that. Just have the village take care of it. The Hokage approves all that stuff anyway, right? Where do you think the money comes from?" asked the angry man. "The village? And where does the village get it?" Boruto shrugged. "Taxes. Without them, the village would go broke and nothing would get done. We'd fall apart." Oh. Boruto hadn't understood that. He thought the village had plenty of money without knowing where it came from. Since it was always someone else's problem, he hadn't given it much thought. After all, whenever they damaged something at the school, he and his friends never had to pay for it. Not even Shino, and he was responsible for them. The workers did it all and he figured it was because the school hired them to do it. Was he misinformed? "The wall shows signs to cracking from age," a woman continued. "We need to patch it. To repair the damage, the village needs more money than it has in the vault, so we have to raise taxes. Same thing goes for the school. New desks to replace the ones that are falling apart, books and other supplies." "Hold on," said Boruto. "We can just have the teachers pay for that stuff. It's their job, isn't it? On their salary?" asked a woman. "They won't have anything left to pay their rent or feed themselves. School supplies are expensive." "Then, have the parents pay for it," Boruto reasoned. "They're only responsible for one kid, so they won't have to pay that much. That's a simple and easy solution." "What about the parents who can't afford it? Or the ones who refuse because they think it's unfair? That system would be punishing the children who are innocent in all this." Just because of their parents' financial situation or sheer stubbornness, the child won't get the best education they can. It's setting them up for failure. Not to mention that the teacher may take it out on them, knowing they were the only one not to pay their share for one reason or another. We can't have the kid get kicked out of school for something their parents decided. The child has no say, no power. It wouldn't be right. Boruto rubbed his head. Alright. This was harder than it looked. Plus, these people jumped down his throat the second he made a suggestion. Face it, Lord Seventh. We have to raise taxes. Alright, said Boruto. He wanted to get out of here and away from all this stress. Then take what you need for taxes. Whatever you need to do all this stuff. Another woman stood up, nearly knocking her chair to the ground. In order to do that, we'd have to increase it by 10% to pay for all this. We'd have a revolt on our hands. The villagers won't stand for it. If it's for the good of the village. Began another. At the cost of living for these people? The village will be fine but the people will go broke. We need a balance, Lord Seventh. We can't just take out however much we need without harming the villagers. We have to decide how much we should increase taxes in order to get work done and not impact the villagers too negatively. Boruto couldn't stand much more of this. He thought he found a solution, but they complained about that, too. They were right, though. He didn't want to make the villagers go broke to maintain the village. This was their home but they had their own lives and families to support. He had an idea. What if we didn't raise taxes but asked for a donation? A donation? Are you serious? Why not? He asked. We don't know who can afford what and charging everyone equally, even those not as well off as others, wouldn't seem fair. This way, people can pay what they can to help the village. If it's for their home, I'm sure they'd do it. They want to live in a nice place, right? I'm sure they'll shell out the money for it. The people exchanged questioning looks. Lord Seventh, the woman nearest him said in a suspicious tone of voice. Are you ill-prepared for this meeting or are you just incompetent? I mean, some of the things you're saying are. What's the problem? Boruto asked her. You need the money for the village and these people live in it. Why wouldn't they want to help maintain it? That's what the taxes are for, someone said further down the table. Yeah, but they don't know what their taxes are being used for. At least this way, they'll know what their money is going to. They can even choose how much they want to give for a cause they feel strongly about. People might even give more money than taxes would have taken out because they have the funds and the willingness to give towards something they believe in. Fortunately, the people accepted this. Something in Boruto's speech convinced them. Only on a trial period, though. They agreed to the donation concept, but if they didn't get enough money for their causes, they were going to have to raise taxes. Boruto agreed and was relieved for it to be over. Your meeting about the bridge is up next, Shikamaru told him as they left the room. He should be waiting outside your office. Another meeting? Boruto was so tired of this. He was tired and angry and sore and it wasn't even 2 in the afternoon yet. He felt like he hadn't done much of anything but his body and mind felt like he had been doing constant work from the moment he got up. They wanted to give you options before you sign the paper for it, Shikamaru told him. Sure enough, a man was waiting for them outside the office. He started talking about the project before they even entered the office. Boruto had to hold up his hand to stop him in order to get on the same page. The damaged footbridge, Lord Seventh, he clarified. It's begun to crack from use and weather. A piece has already come off under the railing. Unfortunately, we can't all agree on how this should be handled. What's there not to agree on? Asked Boruto. Just fix the thing. But how? Asked the man. I suggest we tear down the bridge and build a new one that will last longer. Okay, said Boruto, but saw the look on Shikamaru's face and knew he needed to ask a follow-up question. And if we do that, what are we looking at? Well, we'd have to close off that area until the new one is built, which will impact traffic. Plus, the cost of materials. Cost of materials? Boruto repeated. Can't you handle that yourself? Shikamaru leaned down to whisper to him. The village provides the materials so the construction workers don't have to pay out of pocket. Okay. After the meeting about the taxes, Boruto was looking to save money for the sake of the people. Is there a cheaper solution? Well, some of my colleagues suggested that instead of tearing down the bridge and starting fresh that we simply patch the damaged area. Wouldn't that save time and materials? Boruto asked. Technically, yes, said the man. We'd need about a day to tear down the bridge. That way we can salvage any usable materials and won't have to use explosives which would damage whatever was salvageable and possibly injure someone. It is a footbridge. It would be a controlled explosion but there would still be risks. Doing it that way would also risk causing damage to the foundation, which would require more funds too, and then you'd need time to build the bridge, which would take weeks, right? Boruto asked. Weeks without use of that bridge and people having to take detours and all that. Just patch the thing and save time and money. Don't overcomplicate it. If that's what you think is best, said the man. In that case, Shikamaru said, pulling out a sheet of paper from his clipboard. I need you to sign this. Boruto reached for the paper with a pen in hand. As soon as he touched it, he felt Shikamaru pull the paper backwards. But I recommend we go the route of building a new bridge instead of patchwork. Time and money, Shikamaru. Boruto pulled the paper back towards himself. And it's just that one area that's taken any damage. That we know of. They can just patch up anything that's damaged, you know. Don't make it more complicated. Shikamaru cringed when he saw Boruto sign his father's name on the document. Boruto tossed the pen down and sat back in his chair when the man left. There. Problem solved. There was so much paperwork and there seemed to be no end to it. Boruto kept looking at the clock on the wall, wondering how long he had been at this. It seemed as though the pile got higher as the clock's hands moved past each number. In an effort to get through this mountain, Boruto just started signing his father's name on every paper without reading it. Things were finally moving along. He honestly didn't see a problem in doing this. No one in the village could do anything without Naruto's signature, which he thought was just idiotic. Why couldn't these people just do things for themselves? Why did they need the Hokage to give them approval? If they needed a signature, then so be it. Next they'll need him to sign a paper for being allowed to use the bathroom, Boruto muttered to himself. Oh, dear, there's no soap in the bathroom. I know. We can have the Hokage sign a paper giving us the okay to refill it. We're totally useless. We need him to tell us when to breathe. Gotta get it in writing. Boruto shoved the last document aside, his wrist aching. He could barely make a fist without his fingers quivering. His whole body was aching. His back, his neck, his shoulders. Everything hurt. He wanted to go home and rest. Watch TV, play video games. Anything other than work. Reading a book would have been too much after all this. He doubted his eyes would focus. Well, I'm done. Boruto stood up to go home. The door opened and a woman came in with a fresh pile of papers that needed his signature. You've gotta be kidding me, Boruto moaned. I was just about to go home. These need your approval, Lord Seventh. As soon as possible, please. The ones at the top of the pile can't make a move without your approval. Can't anybody make decisions on their own? Boruto faced the desk and started signing as quickly as possible and handed the top documents back to the woman. There. Deliver them to whoever and let me go home. She handed him another piece of paper. This one needs a cross-signature confirming the approval for verification. You people are insane, Boruto said through a clenched jaw. You actually need a signature of approval for a signature of approval? That's like, I don't know. That's like saying you want fried chicken for dinner, signing a paper for it and then having to sign again before they make the order. I said yes. What, now you want a yes for my yes? It's just to confirm, the woman told him. You got my signature, don't you? Just making sure. I signed something then you need me to sign something saying I signed something? Have me sign it once and be done with it. I'm so sick of this pointless, constant busy work. The woman shot him a look before leaving the office. Boruto reached for the knob when another person entered the office with a file in their arms. Lord Seventh, we need you to sign. Forget it. Boruto snapped. I'm going home. Sir, you can't go home just yet. Please. We need you to sign these. It's for the construction order. I already signed the thing for the bridge repair. No, this is for the laborers and the Survey Corp. Huh? This sounded like more pointless busy work. The Survey Corporation want to confirm that the area in question isn't owned by another company or person before they start building. If it is on owned land, we can't build or make repairs. Not without the owner say. It's a footbridge. No one owns the land near there. This is just to confirm that. Otherwise, the people can't begin work. Boruto snatched the paper away and signed it. There. This is for the workers to begin in the morning. They can just start. Not without your signature on this. Just because you signed for the project approval doesn't mean they were given the okay to begin work. They can't begin until you. Boruto snatched the paper from him and signed it just as he had the first one. Also, this one is about the playground repairs. There's enough funding in the budget but we need. Boruto signed that one as well and handed it back. As far as the playground, forget it. I've had enough. I'm going home. Anything else can wait until tomorrow. I'm done. Lord 7th. I'm done. Boruto stormed out of the office, tired and cranky. He wouldn't take any more. He just wanted to go home, have dinner and get some sleep. Lord 7th, I've been meaning to talk to you. As soon as he stepped outside, he was swarmed by people. Some were shinobi and others were regular villagers. They bombarded him with questions and comments and requests and praise. They followed him no matter where he went. Another group moved towards him and pushed him back towards the Hokage building, all speaking quickly and at once, making it impossible to understand. Before he knew it, he was back in the building he just left. It was no use. They wouldn't let him leave. Shinobi and villagers alike threw request after request at him, talking over each other until it became a jumble of noise. Boruto couldn't hear himself speak as he tried to calm the crowd. Even when he shouted, no one heard him. Enough. I can't take it. No one was listening. If anything, they called out their demands louder. In desperation, Boruto created a shadow clone of his father and took off out the window, leaving his doppelganger to the mercy of the crowd. He ran as far and as fast as he could from the building. He heard someone shout for the Hokage and he hid anywhere he could. He didn't want attention. Any attention. He just wanted to go home. His clone ended up popping and he soon found himself being chased by those people at the office. Some cut off his path, shouting demands. Others just followed him, calling his title and their wants. For crying out loud, don't you people ever go home? Boruto hid in a tree but was easily found by shinobi and given papers to fill out and listened to reports from those working on the latest research project. Boruto gave up. No one would leave him alone. It was long past dinner when they finally left, but a new pile of work remained in the office. I'm going home, Shikamaru announced. See you in the morning. You'll probably be here, though. Naruto stayed late to make a dent in all this work but Boruto wasn't that dedicated. Shikamaru, wait. He stopped at the door and turned. Shikamaru, I'm not the Hokage. I'm Boruto. He replied flatly. Good night. Wait. I'm not messing around. I'm serious. Shikamaru closed the door and left. Boruto fell to his knees and stared at the ground. What can I do? No one believes me. There had to be a way out of this. He didn't want to be stuck as his father for the rest of his life. He didn't know how he ended up like this in the first place. So pitiful, came a sinister voice Boruto did not know. He looked around the empty office. Who said that? I see. So you can hear me. Boruto couldn't see anyone. It sounded almost like the voice was coming from inside his head. Who's there? Boruto asked timidly, thinking he had finally cracked from stress. Who are you? Come on. You don't know? You've only heard about me from Naruto I don't know how many times. Boruto turned around and as he did, the room disappeared and he was in a dark void with the face of a giant fox glaring down at him. Boruto was so frightened by it that he fell backwards. It makes sense that you and I can communicate now that you share your father's body with me. Are you Kurama? The giant fox growled at him. I have to say, it's nice to speak with someone other than Naruto, but I'm not the most social of beasts. I also cannot say what will happen to either of us if things remain unchanged. Boruto stood up. How did I get like this? Why am I inside my dad's body? What can I do to fix this? Do you know what happened? I don't, said the giant fox. All I can say is that I became aware of the change at some point in the evening. I've been asleep all this time and don't know when or what exactly took place. Can you fix this? What do I look like to you? The fox snarled at him. How can I fix what I do not understand? Without knowing what took place, there is nothing I can do. You must sort this out on your own. How can I? Boruto asked. Nobody believes me. You spoke to one person, the fox told him. How would you know Shikamaru was the only guy I told if you were asleep all this time? Boruto asked, crossing his arms. Never mind how I know that. The fox snapped. It's obvious to me that you have been along for the ride all this time, otherwise you would have made more of a fuss than you did. Boruto dropped his head with a sigh. This giant fox was right. He should have been making more of a fuss than he was but he didn't see the point. In truth, the main reason was so that he could guarantee the band he liked would play at the village. He wanted to meet them, but things didn't go the way he had planned. Wait, said Boruto, a thought occurring to him. If I'm here, then, where's my dad? You didn't think to question that earlier? Asked the fox, sounding annoyed. I just thought I was in his body while he slept or something. Boruto's thoughts kept spinning. But if that's the case, then what happened to me? If I'm in Dad's body, Does that mean he's in my body? Don't you think you should check? The fox asked him. How could I with all these people asking me to do stuff? Boruto said, gesturing behind himself with his arm. Well, that's not really my problem, now is it? Figure this out. In an instant, Boruto was back in the office and the fox was nowhere in sight. He had never come face to face with that fox before. It was unnerving to think that such a thing was living inside his father's body. Nonetheless, the fox had given Boruto the idea to go home to figure out what had happened to his own body. If he and his father had simply switched places, then this might be easier to resolve. Either way, he had to find out what happened. To avoid running into anyone else in the building, Boruto went out the window like before and used the buildings to travel. It was dark and easy to move without being seen. Most of the villagers had gone home for the evening or were inside brightly lit buildings for a drink. Boruto went straight to his house and stood in front of the door. Any intention he had of going straight inside were postponed as a new thought entered his mind. He wondered how this would be perceived by his mother and sister. Would they believe him? If Naruto was in his body, did they already know? Perhaps not, otherwise they would have come to the office to report this. If his body were just lying there comatose, had his mother taken him to the hospital? Was he still in bed and she just decided to leave him alone? There was only one way to know for sure. Boruto opened the door which swung open easily. It was unlocked as usual. His mother must have been expecting him. Hello? I'm home, he called into the quiet house. The lights were on in the kitchen and by the main door. Someone must have been home and they expected him to come home, it seemed. Boruto took off his father's shoes and entered the house. Mom? Hima? Dad? He went into the kitchen first but found that no one was there. The sink had only one dish in it, waiting to be washed. The rest were on the drying rack. The table was clear of everything but a small vase of flowers. The TV was off and the magazines were put away in a neat stack. His mother had definitely been at work. He opened the fridge and found leftovers neatly placed on a shelf, wrapped in plastic film. This wasn't here last night, which meant she had cooked today. If these were remnants of dinner, then it meant Hinata had eaten dinner with Himawari and put away the rest. This indicated that she wasn't worried or preoccupied with another matter. Everything was normal. A normal day? Did that mean she hadn't noticed anything was wrong with her son? Mom? Boruto went up the stairs to the second level. Mom? He couldn't find her anywhere. He went to his sister's room but it was empty. Her bed was freshly made and her drawings were on her desk, meaning that she had been working on them during the day and had yet to clean up. Now for the moment of truth. Boruto went to his bedroom and turned on the light. Taking a deep breath, he looked at the bed against the wall next to the window. It was empty. Empty? What did this mean? Was it possible that he had entered his father's body and mind? He didn't know of anything that could do that, even jutsu. Could that explain his situation? If that were the case, where was his family? Perhaps his mother had found him lying there and brought him to the hospital, just as he thought she might in that situation? No, if that were the case, she wouldn't have carried on with her day as normal. Dinner was freshly made. She would never have done that if she were concerned or caring for her comatose son. Everything in the house pointed to a normal day. There was nothing to indicate that his mother or sister were aware of the situation. In that case, where were they? Where was he? Did Dad run off in my body or something? No, he would have told Mom. Unless he wanted a free day and pretended to be me. That would be so like him. Boruto leaned his back against the doorframe. This doesn't make any sense. Where are they? Perhaps they went to his grandfather's house. They did that from time to time. They should have been back by now. Should he go there and see for himself? Should he stay here and wait? Where else could he look? Boruto sat down on his bed and tried to think. Maybe if he just stayed here, everything would return to normal. If he stayed in the place he last remembered being, he would wake up in his own body again. Yes, that seemed logical. He was too tired to think of another solution. Boruto collapsed on his bed and closed his eyes, grateful to have a chance to rest. He hoped he would be back in his own body tomorrow. He couldn't wait to wake up from this nightmare.